Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Sean Bell.
Hello.
Matt Murray.
Hello.
And James Farley.
Hey, hey.
It's a bit delayed there, James, but that's great.
Yeah.
You're on it. You're on it. I like it. Right, we would like to start the show by thanking our Patreon producers this month, the Full Nels Posse. Should I use posse? Is that all right? Can I call them that?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, for now.
Alan.
In 5 years, you won't be able to use that word. There'll be something.
You think it's
bad
got
with it.
unfortunate, like gang connotations? Is
Yeah,
that
I
what you-
guarantee. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's use it while we can then, eh?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Alan M. Nash has gone full Nels, so has Aaron Patrick, full Nels, Anthony Oakenson, full Nels, Toby Henry, get in, full Nels, and Adam Capone, full Nels. Full Nels. Right. If you would like to go full Nels, then go to www.patreon.com/TCGS. Although I should remind you, there are other tiers. If you want to hear January's TCGBSO, what's it called? The bonus show. That's right. It's going up tomorrow, which is yesterday when this comes out. So yeah, if you want to hear how. What were we talking about? I can't remember. We mentioned
Talking about James's trip to Japan.
Yeah.
James's trip to Japan.
Sean's first experience of
say,
lovemaking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Sean
genuinely.
talks about how he lost his virginity, and also we read through Famitsu.
And we have questions.
Well, look to the pictures, but yeah.
We did look at the pictures. So if you sign up at the $5 tier, I think it is, then you get that early. We also recorded our Talks Over episode where we watched the Xbox 360 reveal, which was a lot of fun, actually. I quite enjoyed that.
It was good. Yeah.
It was less, haha, look at these people, to a more, oh my God, that was a good console, though, wasn't it?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
There's JLR doing his, sitting on the floor and all that kind of thing that was a bit weird.
And I tried to time travel at one point during that. So enjoy that when that comes out. That's at the $10 tier. You get to watch that a month early. Right, should we get on with the show? Should we get on to feedback, Matt? Everyone loved it last week?
Aaron Patrick, a full Nels member, has emailed in. Great first show. Just wanted to give some feedback regarding the Xbox Series X chat. I think Microsoft, have done something right, as they seem to be generating a lot of buzz. With them adopting the new form factor, do you guys think they're going for a more connected device? The new console looks like a lot like a HomePod or Amazon Alexa. Therefore, do you think the new design will have these capabilities, maybe becoming a home hub for all home automation devices, lights, robot vacuums, etc.? All they need to do is include half-decent microphones with an average speaker, and you have a device that you can yell at with more accuracy than Kinect ever was. Microsoft seems to be leaving Cortana out to die, and have started to integrate more deeply with Amazon's A-Queen, so maybe having this built into the console opens up some new possibilities. Just a thought, what do you guys think? If this was the case, is this a good move or another backward step away from gaming as a core?
Hang on, what's Amazon's A-Queen?
I think it's just like Alexa.
Okay.
And maybe he's just avoiding saying that just in case we read that out on set-off devices everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Smart.
you've ruined it now, haven't you? No, I mean we have said this for a while, right? And we said that's what the Xbox One should have been. Just the microphone, that's all it needed. And yeah, God, what a great. Honestly, I think that would be a great idea because. The whole, we worry about games consoles being anything but games consoles, and I understand that point of view, I see it. But, I mean, everyone's using these home hub things now. Seriously, is it just people around me, or... Because I know the amount of houses that I go around and someone's got one in the corner and they use it to listen to music with and stuff like that. It just seems like a no-brainer.
And also, after, Spotify did their, you get free... Google Home, I think that's what I've got. Yeah. Thanks to if you had Spotify Family account, and I've actually seen a couple of other offers since then as well. It feels like loads of people. Loads of people got one for the first time just because of that offer. Offer.
Same here. That's how I got one in the end.
Yeah, I think this would be great. I mean, if they said actually no, there's a speaker at the top and it does play music, and you can use. Yeah, I mean, Alexa, I guess. I mean, it'd be good for both Amazon because it gets Alexa into way more homes, 50 million, 100 million homes, depending on how many consoles they sell. And it'd be good for Microsoft if they can use that to control other smart devices.
What if they can integrate it into both systems? What if they can integrate it into both Google and Alexa?
I don't know if there's a device that does that yet. I mean, maybe there is, but
there's no one does that because they all have to sign like agreements with like the other.
Oh, what, that they won't
companies.
use one or the other?
Yeah.
I mean that's the sticking point, isn't it? Because knowing Microsoft, if they do this, they'd be running it all through their own systems, and it would be like.
I think they've learned already that. I mean, Cortana, as his email says, is sort of being phased out. I mean, I haven't got a Google Home at home. I think they're good, but I think I'd rather Alexa because I think, from what I gather, that they're way more open to that integrating with a lot more third-party apps and APIs and stuff. So Alexa,
I think they don't give a shit. They do the same things, right? There's no major difference between the two.
No, there are quite big differences. Also, like in what's available for them and everything. Like as I understand it, because I mean, we've got like a Echo or whatever. And there's a lot more things you can connect into that, like what? Like especially with you can use like Apple Music or whatever with it if you want to. You know, you can like link that in. There's loads of like skills and stuff like that. But what's quite interesting is that like recently though, if you look at like the App Store for it, there's hardly anything new. It's kind of like beginning to sort of level off now. I think it's not as well. There hasn't nothing new's come out for quite a long time. It's usually when they have app stores
for these
stuff
home
like
devices, you mean?
Yeah. Normally when there's things like this, there's constantly new stuff, and it's like it's started to level off.
How often? It's not so much about the new stuff for me. It's just about how good it works. Like we use ours all the time, and it's mainly for setting reminders and playing music and stuff like that. I mean, just having that in the Xbox would just, and alongside just saying to it, "Oh, play this game, play that game," which is the stuff we did like about Kinect when the Xbox One came out. It just seems like such a good idea that I'd be actually a bit disappointed if neither console took advantage of that this year.
Yeah, and I can't see Sony doing that, but I can see Microsoft saying, we're so open, we've got Amazon Alexa on here. It's like, wow.
So I've just opened the Google Home app on my phone and it can already link with the Xbox. I don't know what it does.
They got Amazon.
It doesn't do
Google
anything.
Assistant integration now, haven't they?
Okay.
I think also Alexa integrates. I'm sure
it does,
last year they did that.
Oh, maybe I should check that out then, because last time I looked, it did fuck all. It was really annoying. But we'll see. All right.
Anyway, SNW carries on the same subject. Totally with Matt on the Xbox naming. It makes total sense to me regarding future generations. The easiest thing would probably be the Xbox Series X2, etc. Letter will define the power. Number will define the release order.
No way. That's ridiculous. No way.
I mean, I just think they'd be like, here's the new Series X, here's this year's Series X, here's this year's Series S, etc.
It's a terrible, terrible idea. And you were just talking horse shit last week, man. No offence, mate. But
I don't see how it's a terrible idea.
Because
you'll just get the new Series X.
Yeah, but that's not what you were saying.
Let's not do this again.
That's not what you were saying. You were just...
Yes, I was.
No, you were saying it's just called Xbox. It's just called Xbox.
The platform is just called Xbox, and there's different versions of the Xbox.
Okay, Matt. That's no different to what we've had before. Right, go
on. Lars Hedderdam has emailed in. Hello, gents. It was a great show last week. Felt like first rain after a dry season. I'm not referring to James's drinking. Let's think. Yeah, he picks me up on my Xbox Series X stuff. I notice how now for certain we can say Matt is definitely not a Jedi, because no amount of hand waving from his side can convince anyone that Xbox Series X is just called Xbox. Laugh so hard and the stubbornness. That's what they've called. Anyway, you guys talked about Game of the Decade show, and David said we can't release a Game of the Decade show in February. David, you guys picked Trackmania as one of your games of the year. When has conformity ever been the ethos of TCGS?
That's a good point.
You can do and are doing whatever the hell you want to do.
I don't know. There's part of me that kind of feels like if we were doing it at the end of the year, that'd be really good. But if we were doing one now, I'd really like to do a best console of all time one, because I just think that is going to cause some major arguments. And I don't know. I really like the idea of best games console of all time.
Oh God, yeah, I liked it because I've got outsiders I'd probably really fight for.
Go on. What are you thinking?
Well, Saturn.
The
I'll put
Sega Saturn.
Fuck's sake.
I don't know. You'd probably get a vote for me over that. If it come up against the Dreamcast, mate, I'd be with it. There'd be a standoff.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. I feel like we should have done a decade thing a long time ago. Anyway, we'll crack on with saying this. Ricky Carr, right, happy belated New Year. Matt was talking about what he had planned for TCGS over the next few years. I wanted to make some suggestions of things I would like to see. Regular Patreon bonus show. Matt is competing a video game challenge, e.g. the Games Master Master Penguin Ice Slide level, while John Denton is choking him out. Matt has to complete the challenge before he passes out, as possible. 2029...
That'd be a video show, though, right? That'd only work as a video show.
Yeah, because otherwise you'll just hear me, like, you just weird sounds. It'd be weird.
that would be quite funny. Listen to a podcast where you're going, okay, now I'm just...
Do it as an ASMR video. Man gets choked out while playing computer games.
Yeah, I mean, that
Me
might ban on the
standing
channel.
next to him, just tapping a white balance board. God.
2029 TCGS Kids Takeover. This sounds great. The TCGS children present one show about their favourite games and tell embarrassing stories about their dads.
Oh, that'd be awful.
That would be unbelievable. We can get the kids together.
That'd be great.
I'd love to know the embarrassing stories James Kids has got about him. What could be embarrassing about? I can't imagine anything.
Well, one time my dad told me my birthday was another day. I knew, but I just
She doesn't even know that.
pretended
still.
not
I
to
played
know.
along.
Yeah, it was very obvious. The Joypod wife questionnaire, but with the TCGS kids. Yeah,
I mean, you'd have to give it a few years. Isaac's only 2.
I mean, right, like, I love this idea. I genuinely think it would be fun to have a questionnaire, but with the kids. But people just would find it really irritating, I think.
Yeah, I think
know what
unless
I mean?
you've got
It's gonna be
kids.
the-
I think
only
you've-
we
yeah.
would enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Like, we'd find it hilarious, but I've got a feeling listeners would just be like,
Yeah, fuck
"Oh,
that.
great! They're just look how funny my kid is." Kids say
my
the
kid
darndest
brilliant?
things.
Next one,
Do say the
release
funniest things, though.
They do say that. Next one, released a bitter nest. That's James. Any more news on development?
I mean, that's commitment, isn't it?
I mean, I like the way he just says release as if it's already made and we're just refusing to.
Yeah, as if we're holding it back.
I mean, it's just been delayed because we want to spend more time polishing it, so
That's
it's
true,
fully, till it's ready.
Yeah, but we want to provide a better experience.
Not political at all. Satire. What I was going for there.
There you go.
It's now way political. The Big Brother reunion show with the original host cover a season of Love Island. I mean, we tried. We tried again.
Yeah, we've been dying to do something like that. Maybe 1 year. I mean, doing a Love Island show with Capone Adam would just be the dream, right? It'd be the dream.
And lastly, a return of Farley's Game Club, but with Xbox Game Pass, there was no barrier to entry.
Absolutely no chance. Yeah.
Okay. DeviantWeb at DeviantWeb on Twitter. Just curious.
Sorry, people that don't know about Farley's Game Club, right? That was on Joypod. And,
It was on Joypod.
What's that?
It was on Joypod, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, I believe it's on
I know,
Joypod,
but you
David.
cut out when you were saying it. I didn't hear it.
I was trying to think. When
You
was
thought
it?
you better correct him anyway, even though you hadn't heard.
Yeah,
I haven't.
I think it was on Joypod, Sean.
Yeah, it's on Joypod.
It was on Joypod.
Right,
yeah.
okay, thanks. It was on Joypod.
It cut out then, but yeah, it's on Joypod.
Every week we played a new game. And
On Joypod.
honestly, the jingle was fantastic. The segment was absolutely diabolical for a couple of reasons. First of all, we didn't really have time to play the games that often. They were always really weird games. We never got round to play.
Well, no,
Secondly,
we started off.
by the end of it, it was this going like this. Okay, this week's game is this. I've played it. Michael, have you played it? No, I didn't. James, no. Sean, no. Oh, great. Okay, well,
Well, no, because it
I'm the only
started
one
off
that's
with
played Farley's Game Club.
It started off with good games, and then after a while, I got bored of that, and then it was just like picking up any old crap off the App Store and just trying to see if Michael would think it was good. Even though it was dreadful.
Well, the segment died on its arse in the end, so we're not going to bring it back, are we?
No, bring it back.
Let's face it.
DeviantWeb at DeviantWeb on Twitter. Just curious if we're going to get a Rise of Skywalker Starkles episode.
You are. We need to do that, James.
We do, yeah. That will happen at some
I
point.
need to. I need to sort something out. I need to go and see it again. Really, is it
Yeah,
still
I
in the
wanna see
cinemas?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, someone's showing it, isn't it? Fucking hell, I need to go again.
See, I want to see it
the
again
problem
as well.
is, I'm going to have to go again with a notepad because I've got to write down my thoughts. This is the only way the show works.
Did I tell you about when I went to see it and I was sat next to a guy who, at various points of the film...
Oh, you took a photo, yeah.
Yeah, he took photographs and then walked out before the end.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I did mention it, didn't I? Yeah.
Dave, don't take a notepad. Just take notes on Siri.
Yeah.
What I should do is take like a full video camera and set it up at the back. They go, "Whoa, what are you doing?" Listen, Starcalls, mate.
Yeah.
Google it.
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
not
like-
finding-
this
It's
is
for the purposes of criticism and review,
Yeah,
so I think I find it's fair use.
I'm the film editor of my local paper, and I need this for research. Ben Syme at Scientologist, looking forward to going to Res and watching the Computer Game Show live. Hopefully, saying hi to James, Sean, and Dave. I like that tweet.
is
But,
vicious.
Love a lot.
the Nick Parton, I mean, this tweet is just so bang on the money, it almost makes you sick. TCGS Spa Day. Sean, let's relax, lads. Matt, better live tweet this. Dave, I'm still a bloody bloke, and James is making me cringe.
Yeah,
I am a bloody bloke. There's no getting around that, right? I can't help it. It's how I
unavoidable.
was born.
Yeah.
It's unavoidable. But that goes away. That facade falls as I walk into a spa and I'm sitting there, legs crossed, in one of those little white gowns that are too small for you and those slippers, waiting for my massage.
I wouldn't know.
I've got a couple of small bits of feedback. Rich at RichSpurs24. Matt doesn't want to play games from last year. Well, what has he been streaming the last few nights? Now, okay, just to clarify this, I mean,
How did we not pick that up? That is such a fucking good
it's not about
point.
playing
What has
games.
he been desperately
it's not about
streaming?
playing games from previous years. It's more that the backlog is over. I don't have a backlog going into next year.
No, that's not what you said last week, though. You can't get angry at that because you were saying, when the date ticks over, that's it. I'm done. I'm cutting it all off. It's like, what?
Yeah, but I'm fairly sure I was clear that it was about the backlog. Obviously, I'm going to play games that come out in previous years because.
So what's the backlog then?
Well, like as in like a list of go get this stuff done this year, go get stuff played, and like that just goes. I'm like,
Right,
games
okay,
like,
so what's the difference between the backlog and playing games from last year?
well, it's I mean, I don't have a
It's the
massive
same
list
thing.
of I don't have a massive list of games I've got to play. Basically, if I don't get it done by the end of the year, then they're done, and I'll play whatever, and then a new backlog begins, a new list of games for the year.
Matt, do you not see what you're saying?
Well, no, do
You're
you guys
saying-
not have like here's a list of all the games I need to play this year?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, I do. If it's like, okay, I need to play this year. I need to get like
Okay, fine, right? So you drop that list
Yeah.
the moment it turns to the new year.
Yeah.
What does dropping that list mean?
It means I'm not thinking, fuck, I've got to get Outer Worlds done. I've got to get Death Stranding done. I'm just like, no, I'm done. I'm wiping my hands of that.
Yeah,
I don't get
but
done by
it's
Christmas.
fine to, if you just decided you don't want to play something anymore for various reasons, that's fine. But for the rule to just be, well, it came out last year, so that's that, fuck off.
It's mad,
Seems
isn't it?
a
It's like
bit-
treating
It's more that every
treating
year
it
more
like
and
a
more games
job.
come out. If I carry backlogs from previous years, it would just be insane. I'm like,
But
well,
you
I've
might
still got a thing from...
inadvertently play one of those backlog games anyway.
Well, I mean, if I have spare time, maybe I will, but I'm not going to like...
Matt, this is just, I can't see the difference between the two, so we should probably move on because it is melting my
What
fucking
I'm
brain
saying is,
cells.
I don't have like a massive list of games I need to play right now, and it feels great.
Yeah, that's good. But you will still go and play those games.
I still don't understand this. It's like you've got all these
Well,
games, like some of them are so good, like, and it's
No,
just
but
you're
James,
just like,
he's saying he will play those games.
I'm saying there's a chance I might play them, but I don't have like a list of fucking hell, it's like 12 games I got to play 12
I
games.
think that, Sean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the list thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's why we can't comprehend what Matt is saying right now.
Yeah.
It's the list thing. We have no idea what a list means to Matt. To us, it's some games we might play later on down the line. To Matt, it's some sort of
it's a
like...
to-do list.
A list of targets.
Yeah.
It's a
It's a
target,
to-do list,
yeah.
yeah. It's like,
It's
you
a
know...
target. That's the best way of
Well, no,
describing it.
it's a to-do list, definitely. It's like, okay, well, this game's out. I need to play that because they will, because I need to have played that this year. Then maybe the discussion of game of the year
Matt,
towards the end
stop
of the year.
talking, mate. This is weird.
Anyway, next one, Alex 79 UK. What the actual fuck? How has Matt Murray never seen a real giraffe? Has he never been to a zoo? Now, I went to Cheswick Zoo when I was younger, and Portons Park down south also had animals, but I don't particularly remember a giraffe.
Yeah, I
You'd
mean,
remember a giraffe,
I guess
wouldn't you?
not every zoo has them. I don't know.
No. Yeah. I mean, I haven't been on safari either. So no, I don't remember. I think I've seen like lions and tigers and stuff. But
believe
giraffes are
me
massive,
when
aren't
I
they?
see 10 out of 10 for excitement when you first see one.
I'm looking forward to seeing one.
Someone sent me a picture in the week on Twitter of them feeding a giraffe and saying, "Oh, look at this! Look, it was really good. Have it feeding a giraffe or whatever." And I just replied, "Look at that picture. Look at how angry the giraffe looks at your existence." That's why I fucking love them. That is why I love them. It's just like feeding a giraffe some leaves or whatever, and it just looked like him just going, like the giraffe looked at him as if he was going, "Fuck off." Wonderful beasts.
Last bit of feedback. Athena Allen, Babble Freak. That's it.
I just took a drink. I just took a mouth of drink then.
That's it for follow-up. It's at Computer Game Pod if you're on Twitter, or you can email podcast@thecomputergameshow.com.
Cool. It's time for the news.
Sony are going to skip E3 for a second year.
No way!
Hey!
Yeah.
Bombshell. This is one of those moments
shit.
where we finish recording and there's space between recording and a thing of a bombshell drops and you're like, oh, for fuck's
Yeah, they love doing
sake.
that.
Yeah. Let's get into this then. Let's get into this.
It's crazy.
I've seen a lot of comments about it.
Do you want to hear Sony's statement for why?
Yeah, let's hear that.
Okay. So Sony have said, we have great respect for the ESA as an organisation, but we
blatantly don't.
but we do not feel the vision of E3 2020 is the right venue for what we are focused on this year. Yeah.
And then let's hear the ESA's response.
Okay, so then the ESA responded by saying, E3 is a signature event celebrating the video game industry and showcasing the people, brands, and innovations redefining entertainment loved by billions of people around the world. E3 2020 will be an exciting, high-energy show featuring new experiences, partners, exhibitor spaces, activations. What's activations?
I've no idea.
It's a marketing thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And programming that will entertain new and veteran attendees alike. Exhibitor interest in our new activations is gaining the attention of brands that view E3 as a key opportunity to connect with video game fans worldwide. So basically, Monster Energy, I guess, is the big winners
We will also
here.
have Xbox. Which one?
Yeah.
Xbox.
We'll have the new
They're all
Xbox.
called Xbox now. They're all just
We'll
one
have the
thing.
new Xbox. I understand
just
that, 'cause
just
it's
like the
simple.
Xbox Series X. Right, go on. Let's get into it because I think, none of us were really expecting this, were we?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they skipped last year, but obviously we were all a bit like, well, maybe it's just timing, or they just haven't got anything new to show off about PS5 just yet, or whatever. But obviously ditching it a second year in a row, like next year there will not even be a statement, will there? There just won't be.
Yeah.
No.
Just won't be there.
No, there won't be. I think there's one potential problem with doing this is that, third parties rely on that big stage as well as, the big companies.
Yeah.
And is it going to get to the point where third party companies are going to think, well, fuck you, you have a chance to promote our stuff? I suppose they could do on their own stage, but...
Well, I don't think they care.
And they will do.
I don't think they care because what happened last year when Sony didn't turn up is even though they weren't there, Microsoft still did all the advertising for the third parties. And,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No.
So
But still, the most searched terms on YouTube and stuff were for PlayStation. Like PlayStation versions of it, not Xbox ones. It's like Sony are probably just looking at this and just being like...
that's because they have the massive fucking... That doesn't necessarily mean that it's better advertising for Sony, does it? That just means that they've got a massive install base and people want to know if it's coming out for the console that they actually own.
Well, exactly. So, they're looking at this and they're just probably thinking, why bother spending all this money on this when Microsoft will do it for us for free? It makes no sense, to be there for them. But also, they're going to listen.
Yeah.
This is not going to be Sony are not going to have nothing this year. They're not going to just not have any shows or anything this year.
They're just not going to saying that, are they?
No, I mean, even their statement actually said they're going to be at hundreds. I don't think, hundreds of consumer events. Hundreds. That's a lot of That's a lot of consumer
Yeah,
events.
I don't think anyone's saying that they're not going to be showing anything this year or doing anything themselves.
It's all just down to whether you think E3 still has any relevance or not. And obviously it does to a degree, but just not as much as it used to. I mean, Nintendo, they're still on the show floor, but they're not. They don't do like a conference or anything anymore. EA moved out as well, like not so long ago as well. And it's. I mean, if you look at the show floor, like what it's going to be. I mean,
even
year,
Microsoft aren't there because they're in their own theatre down the road.
Yeah, it's. I can understand why they've done this.
Even they're not in their E3.
It's been dying for a long time, like this whole thing, and then they had that whole thing where they doxed a load of people, didn't they, last year? Which I'm sure that went down really well. It's.
Yep.
I don't think it really matters.
A lot of people have been pointing to that. I think, if we're being honest, like all the journalists that got doxed they could probably just replace them with influencers.
Definitely. That's what the activations are for, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that sucks, right? I mean, I think you're right, James. I don't think it's a bad thing for Sony that they're doing this. I don't think they're going to be missing out on anything, and I don't think it's going to have much of an effect on people's response to their new console, right? I totally agree with that. As a fan of video games and as a fan of E3 itself, it's kind of sad that we're not...
Yeah.
What's that?
It's crap,
yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
kind of sad that we're not getting like that bombardment of all this information in those 4 days. It would be, as Matt said, it's kind of like Christmas. It's kind of like, oh my God, we don't know what's going to... Like, the whole gaming scene changes within those 4 days, or used to, where all this information was piled on us out of nowhere, and fuck, it was exciting.
Well, yeah,
and
you
thinking
get
those days are dying now.
You get so much information, you feel like you're going to be sick. It's just like insane, like the amount of stuff that was going on. It was,
the year where they dropped like Shenmue and the Final Fantasy remake and stuff like that, those moments are great, and they'll have them. They'll still have them, and they'll be, but they'll do it on their own terms. And it's a shame because it's an event in the calendar that people go crazy for, and that kind of loses it if Sony do theirs in February and then Microsoft do theirs in May or whatever. It spreads it out a little bit more, and I suppose it's better for them, but it's less exciting for us.
I mean, when Xbox One and PS4 got announced, they were announced at E3 anyway. That they were announced at their own shows.
Yeah, we know that.
E3 was when all like the big stuff kicked off. Like that was when it was. I think there's more news about Xbox being fully online, and then Sony did that video about how to share games, and it was like, oh my God!
Great
and
moment,
they were like, okay, this is gonna be £100 more, 100 because Sony obviously were famously in the UK at least on the 2 a.m. slot, and Microsoft at that point had already unveiled their price for the console. So, and although we'd already known of the consoles and maybe had a lot of technical details beforehand, E3 felt like the battleground. And as wanky as it was, like seeing who won E3 is always an exciting thing for me. I know it's silly about who wins or doesn't win E3, but that was like an exciting thing when like these, these huge companies come together and you're like, oh my God, well, what's that conference like? Was it better pace? Were the exclusives bigger? Were there megatons? And we're just not going to get that. I mean, we are going to. Within the next month, we will know about PS5 because they will do a February event like I did last time. And yeah, you're right. Maybe Microsoft they will also do a big event before E3. It's just a bit shame that it won't be the massive conference.
Yeah, that's it. That's the way I view it. It's kind of like, okay, you're sports because I love that shit. I love it how it all just comes out in that week, and even I was saying like over the past couple of years as well. Like it's such a shame that everything's leaking, and we know so much going into E3. It kind of feels like it spoils it a bit. And yeah, there's people that turn their noses up and say, look, this is just marketing. Like, why do you care about this? Why is this such a big thing for you? But, it was something I used to get excited for, definitely. But
it's a big event. I mean, like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like Sony, the PS5 is going to sell like gangbusters. It doesn't matter. Like they could do nothing and it'll still sell. They don't have to be here. They'll have their own events. But like, I mean,
I
like,
don't know.
Coke, like a Coca-Cola, will still sell billions or millions of cans each day. But they still like go to and do like huge ads at Super Bowl. They don't need to do huge Super Bowl ads. They'll still sell millions of cans. But it's like it's good and exciting. It keeps it more relevant. Like I would like to see Sony here. They don't need to, of course. They will still sell millions of consoles without this.
I think
because
what's interesting.
I mean, it could. I'm not 100% sure that they could do nothing and it'd still sell mad. You know, there's a lot of chat recently about people moving on, like oh yeah, it was so Sony was so big this generation that will clearly carry on to the next. I mean, surely we thought about the Xbox 360 and going into the
in that generation was actually like they sold around the same. I think actually PS3 sold more.
Okay,
overall.
and I think that is fucking horseshit as well. To be quite honest,
it's true.
No. Listen, this is my argument because I've been thinking about this ever since you said it. I think the reason the PS3 made such a huge comeback out of nowhere and leveled off or even beat Microsoft in terms of machine sales is because it was a fucking Blu-ray player.
Definitely,
there was that.
So how much of that is people that are looking to the next generation of video game consoles for gaming? I think percentage-wise, that's why the perception around us was that 360 fucking blew the PS3 away.
Well, it did.
And then when you look at the figures, go, what? You know what I mean? I think it is that has a major thing to do with it. It was a cheap Blu-ray player.
But no, the 360 in the beginning. Oh fuck. Okay, there we go.
It's been a while. It felt good. I enjoyed that.
The 360 did blow the PS3 away, like in the first couple of years. But then it was later on that it really tailed off, and then PS3 started to do a lot better. It's when they started to get stuff like Uncharted and all that kind of thing.
No, yeah, but I don't think it is down to Uncharted. I think it's mainly down to fucking Blu-rays.
I don't think it is, because I don't think Blu-ray was... I mean, okay, I'm probably completely wrong about this, but I don't think Blu-ray was ever like a really, really massive thing.
It was certainly that, like, initially there was a question, because obviously, so the 360 only supported DVDs, and then later it got an HD DVD drive.
Yeah.
And there was a period where no one really knew which way it was going to go. So people might have made the console choice based on what video format they were betting on, and then obviously later in the generation it became clear that Blu-ray was the victor.
Well, and people started getting HD TVs in just more and more homes, and they're like, well, I want to watch HD content. I can't do it through my digital TV stuff because that wasn't really big back then.
Yeah,
like HD channels and that. So let's get a Blu-ray player. Well, Blu-ray players are really expensive, but not if you get a PlayStation 3.
Not by that point. Like by the
they
point...
fucking were. They were more expensive than the PS3.
At the start, they were, but at the time when the PS3 started to pull ahead of the Xbox, like when it started to do better, that was when things were a lot cheaper by that point.
Okay, well, anyway.
But the main thing is that here they got 50 million console head start. That's the thing. It's different.
Sorry?
On this generation, Sony have got like a 50 million console head start. Like that's the extra 50 million people where like, well, let's get another PlayStation. And hopefully they've learned that people will just basically want a better version of the console they've got. Obviously, Microsoft, did something completely different with Xbox One, and everyone just wanted a better 360. Hopefully Sony...
We'll see. The only thing that concerns me about this sort of stuff is, we've spoken about it before, the Sony arrogance that can kick in when they're the market leader.
Yeah, Sony hubris could be bad.
Yeah, they need to make sure that they're not falling into that trap again, basically.
I think what interests me about the E3 dying whatever thing is, for years, the argument was like, game news happens all year round, but E3, like stuff that happens at E3 gets into the mainstream press. Yeah. But I think mainstream press does a much better job of reporting on this stuff now, and I wonder if maybe that's why that prominence of E3 has sort of waned a bit, because you doesn't need to be at that event to get in like actual newspapers.
Yeah, I mean, the mainstream, do cover, in the papers and stuff, they do cover E3, but also when Sony unveiled a new PlayStation, that will also, I guarantee,
still
be on like the BBC
Yeah.
Entertainment pages or maybe like 5 Live or whatever. But yeah, it's just a massive shame, really. The events are going to be cool and it's going to be exciting when they say, you'll see the PS5 in this event in next week or two. That'll be cool, but E3 won't be the same. But having said that, do you remember, I don't know what year it was, but that year when suddenly E3 went from the huge show floor to the hotel rooms?
Yeah, it was.
E3 is dead, and that was ages ago. Then they sort of brought it back.
This is it. People have been saying it's dead for years, right? And it's not. but
when
go on, sorry.
I was going to say, when that happened, though, the major players still hadn't just completely pulled out of it and were not bothered with it. The other thing is now there's really no need to do these things because the fact they can just do these directs to people instead.
I know, but it's still sad that it's going. And I will say, I think if Microsoft can turn it into something, then they do their XO thing. I don't think in terms of mainstream press that was covered as much as what they do with E3. I think there's still a need for it for Microsoft at the very least, and they've got a chance to sort of own it now. You know what I mean? It could be big for them if they play it right, but it'd be fascinating to see how they do.
Like last year, wasn't it? They did a really good job last year. It was a pretty good show that they put on.
Yeah,
and
it was great.
They didn't really have any competition, but it's it's just not the same. It really isn't the same.
No. It won't be now. That's absolutely gutting from a fan of video games point of view.
Yeah.
See, also, what does it mean
for
our show?
games, like
what are we going to do for all that stuff? Because is it just
what have I missed this year, guys? Nothing really.
There was a 4-hour Inside Xbox you missed.
Smash Brothers. It's not one of them.
Right. Okay. Let's go on to the next story.
Okay. So the next stuff, I've got a Stadia news roundup. And the reason is because there's been quite a few things this week, actually, from Stadia, which are quite interesting. Because it's all been a bit quiet, hasn't it? There hasn't... To me...
Say that again.
Well, no, to me, it feels like there hasn't been much, recently after it launched. But either way, Google have now promised that there's going to be 10 timed exclusives by July 2020. So by that time, they're going to have 10 games...
exclusives?
Yeah, that you can only get on Stadia. They haven't named any of them, so we don't know what they are yet. I mean, that's a bit not so good. But they're also looking at apparently having 120 games on it by the end of this year. That's the plan.
Wait. So we're looking, so by July 2020, and all they've got is 10 timed exclusives.
Yeah.
So
they're paying to delay PlayStation games basically, for a couple of months. That's what's going on there.
Jesus.
Last of Us is one of them. Last of Us.
Cyberpunk.
But also they're adding some other stuff. So in the next 3 months, they add 4K is going to come to the web version. So and also there's going to be more assistant functionality as well. I'm still not sure what that's for. The whole you can use Google Assistant with it. Presumably it's stuff like take a screenshot and stuff like that. I don't know.
You can say okay, Google, turn on my Xbox for 4K. Because that's I think you can maybe set noise. I think maybe can.
What was that noise?
I don't know what that noise was. I'm sure they showed off lots of cool functionality with that, but I can't for the life of me remember what. I mean, I assume it's I'm stuck in Tomb Raider, help me, and then it finds those YouTube videos. I'm fairly sure it's voice search, isn't it, for YouTube?
Probably, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what the options were.
Do you want to hear the statement anyway from Google? They said, when Stadia launched in November, we delivered a great gaming experience for players.
Oh, come on.
And we continue
Why would you say that?
And we continue to work towards our long-term vision for the future of gaming. It's
Okay, fair enough.
They got the the momentum of Runaway Freight Train kind of thing going on here. It's pretty good.
Actually, don't they have a lot of momentum?
No.
The Runaway Freight Train must have fuckloads of momentum, doesn't it? It's a Runaway Freight Train.
Anyway, so the other
James doesn't like fun, does he? He doesn't like a laugh.
But I'm right there on it. A Runaway Freight Train, they're heavy. That's going to have a lot of momentum, surely, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point, isn't it? Anyway,
but you said,
what did I say, Matt?
Don't worry about it. Move on.
Go on. What did I say?
Go on. Let's have this out. Let's have this out now, boys. Matt versus James, round 2.
But the way you said it is
now we got the freight
momentum
train.
of Runaway Freight Train, implying actually there was no momentum. But I'm
That's
saying
not implying that at all. Everyone knows the phrase and the saying for that.
Yeah, but the way you said it, you're implying there was actually zero momentum for this launch.
How is repeating a well-known phrase meaning something completely different?
But it's just the tone of your voice, all the momentum of a runaway freight train.
That was the sarcasm, Matt.
All right, so you sarcastically said a phrase which meant something else. Okay, right, it's too many layers for me.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Okay.
Anyway,
Sean, don't get involved. Let them fight it out. Let the boy
Tell me a little
watch.
story then, James.
Okay, so anyway, BT have done something good though because they've now partnered with Google Stadia. So I think this is genuinely quite a good idea. So
Do you?
BT, what?
Go on.
No, go on, Sean. What are you going to say?
No, explain the idea first, James,
Yeah.
and then he can counter it, can't he?
Yeah.
Well, no, because he wanted to say something, so I'm just giving the opportunity.
Yeah, but the listeners don't know what the idea is yet, do
sorry,
they?
I was surprised to hear that you think it's a good idea, but yeah, let's go through it first and then we'll...
Okay. So, well, it's a good idea from Google's perspective, put it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe not for us, but for everyone else.
I mean, we're not sure yet. You haven't said the story.
Yeah. Matt, can you just let me get on with it?
I'm waiting for you to get on with it.
It's ridiculous. Anyway,
Yes,
James, he is literally asking you to get on with it.
Read the story, James. Read your little story.
yeah, but then you've got like Sean holding me up, and then you're just having a pop like left, right, and centre all the time. It's ridiculous. Anyway,
This is just getting a bit like Brexit, guys.
All the momentum of
Just
runaway.
get on with it.
Get it done. Get it done, James.
it's a transition period. Anyway, so Google have done a deal with BT, and what this is that BT are going to be Google's first European partner. And what it is that if you sign up for BT broadband using like one of their packages, they've got like I don't want to read all the packages out, it's ridiculous. They've got like super fast fibre 2, 3 and 4 and ultra fast fibre 100 and 250. You then get like a Chromecast and like the controller and stuff like that, and like a 3-month subscription to the premium thing or whatever.
What?
But,
a 3 months one?
yeah, it's not unlimited. No, it's not unlimited. It's only 3 months. You still
So
just get
same
Oh,
as
fuck.
in the Founders.
yeah. You still
Yeah,
get
but
the.
I thought, hey, if you're paying a ridiculous amount of money for our broadband package, then that's included. Like,
No,
that's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
they're basically just subsidising the cost of the hardware. Yeah, they're giving you the hardware, and then you get 3 months of Stadia Pro, and that's it.
Part of the fucking point in doing this stuff is that you don't need the fucking hardware.
So when I signed up for BT Broadband, I got a Google Home speaker, and like, do you know what? Fucking hell, I set my phone off. I didn't say. Fuck's sake.
Stop arguing with your phone.
The point is, you plug that in, you turn it on, and then till the end of time, it might as well be there, and it might as well be switched on. But for something like this Stadia thing, to be like, oh cool, I've got it for 3 months. Oh, 3 months has run out. Do I need it?
In 3 months, you'll play the free version, hopefully.
Yeah, I guess.
And you get the
Well,
Chromecast
no, only
Ultra.
if you buy games. What the fuck? Like, I mean, I understood it because it was like you get free games every month with Google Stadia, right?
If you have the Pro one, yeah.
If you got the Pro one, yeah. So now that when the Pro runs out, you're like, okay, so I've paid extra for this ultra fast thing, and one of the benefits is now finished.
I've now got to keep paying for it. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure most people go in for the broadband deal, not because they get Stadia.
Well,
This
yeah,
is
but
a nice
obviously
little thing
it's
on
a
top.
sweetener. It's not like the point, but it's just a weird. To me,
This went from
I
something
think no one's
like-
going to BT just for Stadia.
No, I'm just
No,
like,
no, no,
like Dave
my-
says, if something comes with your broadband deal as a hey, look, here's a cool thing you can do with your new broadband, that thing you would expect to last for the extent of that contract, right? So the fact that it's like, oh yeah, you get this and it's really good for 3 months and then it's worse unless you then start paying money for it. That's just not a great freebie to me. That's
My point,
it's more like a
is this.
liability than a.
When I originally heard about this, I thought that it was going to be something along the lines of like a TV subscription.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if
Right,
you get Virgin and you pay this little bit extra, you get Sky Sports. You know what I mean? I thought it was going to be like that. But what it sounds like is more like those mobile phone deals where it's kind of like, yeah, sign up for us and you get Spotify for a month. You know, and you're kind of like, yeah, but this is a 3-year contract. I don't.
Yeah.
What the? Do you know what I mean? It's.
Yeah.
As you say, then I've got to cancel
James thinks it's brilliant. So you were quite positive on this, James. What do you think about it?
See, I changed my mind now because we.
Wow.
you were ready
Now I've
for
heard
a
other
fight.
people talk about it.
Because no, I thought it was like David. I thought this was going to be that they were, that you get like the subscription and all that kind of thing with it as well, and it would become.
Wait. Surely you read the news before putting it in there.
Yeah, because it's
so
your
you
news
knew
story.
this information.
I didn't read all of the news. I just
Did you read past the headline? Did you read the headline?
Obviously,
James?
but not the whole thing. Because the other thing that I was puzzled about is that there was this whole thing where you had to sign up between the 17th of January and the 30th of January. And initially, I thought, hang on, is this a time-limited offer as well? Like, they're only doing it for a short time. But then I checked all the small print on their site, and there are going to be more packages later on. So they're going to be they are going to continuing this. This is not just like a one-off kind of thing. But I hadn't
do you know
considered.
how headlines work, James?
I hadn't considered the 3 month
when you
thing,
see
though.
a clickbait where it's like, you won't believe what happened next. Well, I probably wouldn't believe what happened next, would I? Okay, next story.
Doctors hate this one trick. It's like, what's this trick?
No, the thing was,
I'm sure they do, whatever it is.
That sounds great. Sign me up.
I hadn't considered the 3 month thing actually, and so it's that is pretty rubbish, isn't it? It's not so good. But then also it is. I mean, it's just subsidising the hardware is all they're doing. But I mean, Matt, you should be well up for that. You were going to pay 120 quid for it.
Yeah, I was, and now decided it's a stupid idea.
That was a long journey to get to that little jab into Matt's
Jesus,
ribs.
it's hardly worth it. Well done, James.
I've never seen someone change their opinion so quickly on a news story.
Well,
What's
Matt,
next
in a
one,
way,
James?
you should go to Specsavers because you can't even see because. Oh.
You were driving home the other week.
Yeah.
Go on, James. What's the next story?
Okay, so the last Stadia story is that mobile downloads for the app have halved since November. So this is obviously not.
People have put them back onto the server.
Yeah, they've requested refunds for the free app.
50% of the people sent the information back onto the server that they downloaded it from. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
I think that's I think that happens. Yeah, so now only 10 people a month are downloading it.
Right, okay. Sorry, James, we've got a comment.
No, hang on.
It's
Sorry,
funny.
Matt did a gag and we all just.
No, it was a good one. It was a good one. I loved it. It was a lovely one.
Yeah.
Go on. What's...
Lovely old gag.
Go on, James. I think James is just upset because we keep butting in, but that's the point of the show. Go on.
Do you want me to finish this story or not? I mean,
I'd like you to start it.
Yeah, what do you want us to do?
What is
when
wrong
you're
with
reading
you tonight?
news?
It's like you're just on at me for every single little thing.
Oh, right. Okay. Sean, we need to sit back again and let them go at it.
I'm not reading the rest of this story. Forget it. Who cares?
James, what about the rest? You haven't started it, mate.
You wouldn't let me.
I was waiting. Dave started it, and I just piped in with what Dave, and I quote, a lovely little gag. Look, listen,
Well, you can have your gags because I'm not reading any more of this.
Oh, I've got the gags, don't worry about that. Well, shall we? Do you want to...
So, the downloads have gone down. Okay, great. Next news story.
I'm surprised they haven't stopped completely, to be honest.
Yeah, it's insane, yeah.
That's true. I did get a text from my brother today, actually, saying, Google Stadia, talk to me. And I
Wow.
went,
So where's he heard that from?
I don't know. I said, well, what do you want? Well, I can read you the conversation.
Please do.
I'll read it out word for word. Google Stadia, talk to me. I replied, it's a total joke, to be honest. Why? And he put, just see it was out and not heard anything about it. I put, basically, it's a huge disaster. Imagine Netflix, but you have to pay for every episode you watch more than you would have to if you bought it on Blu-ray, plus a monthly fee to watch them in HD. And he replied, tell them from me to go fuck themselves. But I'll add that to the list. And he put, thanks, champ. So that was a conversation with my brother about Google Stadia.
Amazing.
James, next news story.
There's been loads of delays.
Are you drunk again?
Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed till September. Final Fantasy VII's been delayed till the 10th of April. Avengers has been delayed for another 4 months, and Iron Man VR has also been delayed. And also Dying Light 2 has now got an unknown date. No one knows when that's coming out, so a load of games have been delayed.
I mean, it's a shame, really, isn't it? Because the early part of Q1 of 2020 was supposed to be the games that didn't make 2019.
Yeah.
And now that looks like the games that are now hoping to catch the new console wave, I think is where they're heading. But it's a shame, isn't it? It's when games are delayed. But I think we're all grown up now enough now to go. Actually, it's probably for the good, isn't it?
Now, do we think that this is just they all need extra polish, or do we think it's possibly like a next gen thing?
I wondered this. Like, is this?
I think it's the polish thing, to be honest with you. Because if it was a next gen thing, they'd all be delayed to the end of this year.
But I mean, massive games like Cyberpunk, obviously there's a lot of pressure on that to perform well. And Witcher 3 got delayed, so it's not outside of realms of possibility. And that's not to say games like Final Fantasy VII and I guess the Avengers, but it feels like there's a lot happening, and are they all trying to get out of the way of what they thought was a busy March, and now March isn't as busy, and now September is busy, or is it like actually we want to wait a bit more information about next gen, and they want to make sure they're optimized for the new consoles, or do they release beforehand and they have to fix them later? It's like if they wait and then are able to make optimizations and stuff that works for the new consoles better, is it going to be better for them? I think it's a bit of both.
They'll still be working on optimization for the new consoles at the same period. It's just the game would be out then rather than a little bit later, doesn't it? They're not going to launch on those consoles, are they? They're still coming out before those consoles come out.
I guess, yeah. I just think.
And not only that, the other thing that we've got to remember with the way that these new consoles are heading, the whole launch title thing is not going to be a thing anymore, is it?
Well,
but that's not going to be so. A launch title is we've already heard from Microsoft, and I'm assuming Sony are going to run along the same lines. Is that when games come out for the Series X, they're going to still work for the Xbox One.
Yeah, but they're going to be positioned differently.
I'd be really, really surprised if Sony don't come out with at least 3 or 4 games that are only coming to PS5 as big launch games. I'd be really surprised if they don't do that.
I don't know if that's.
I think
the
Sony
right
are way
thing
more
to do
likely
anymore.
to. But I think even Microsoft, I truly think Halo Infinite will come out the same day as Series X, and it will be positioned as it looks stunning on Xbox Series X, but all these features, etc., also works on Xbox S. But I think they're going to be positioned as launch games because they launched on the same day as the new consoles.
Obviously they'll run them alongside the new consoles. But I think it's not going to be a Titanfall situation where, although it was really good on the 360, there was clearly a massive difference between the two games. I don't think there is going to be a massive difference between Halo Infinite on the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X.
You don't think?
But that's because between Xbox One and 360, there's massive hardware differences. So of course it's really different.
Exactly.
It's not
and that's the way they're positioning themselves. Yeah. It was like I think it was on the Player One podcast where they mentioned that we might even be heading towards a future where you buy a console, you buy a video game, say the hard copy of Halo Infinite, it works on the Xbox One and the Xbox One and the Xbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
Series
believe
X.
that is going to be the case, I believe.
Yeah, that's madness, and that's, I think, the sort of thing that we're looking at here. It's the step. You look at the step from the Xbox One to the Xbox One X. That it's going to be a similar sort of step.
I think it'll be a bigger step.
It will be a bigger step, but I still feel that, so the one that highlighted it for me, right, was PUBG, because all my mates got an Xbox One X, and I was playing PUBG on the base model, right? It was the same game, features were the same, everything was the same, but my word did I want to play it on the X, because it was just nowhere near as good. We were landing in on the island, and people were like, "Okay, head to that building with a red roof."
I remember that.
And I'm going, "What building with a red roof?" All I can see is a green texture.
I'm still waiting for textures on my end. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the sort of thing that's what I'm expecting from Microsoft's move. What Sony do, yeah, I think maybe they are in a better position to say, okay, these games only work on the PS5.
They'll definitely do that. I'd be really shocked if they didn't do that.
Yeah. I suppose you're right.
I think we're way more likely to have proper exclusives on PS5, less so on there. But I can imagine like the adverts now for like Halo Infinite or something. It's like it lists all these amazing features, and then there'll be like an asterisk saying, and it'll say like works on Xbox Series X, and there'll be like an asterisk saying some features unavailable, and they'll be like, you'll maybe have half the number of players in multiplayer or whatever cool features they got for next gen.
That splits the player base so much. I'm not convinced they're going to do it like that, but.
Anyway, lots of delays. Everyone's basically running scared of Animal Crossing. That's what's happening.
Yes,
they're just trying to get out of the way of that juggernaut.
Yep.
But ultimately, delays are good. I think we can all agree.
I'm so tempted to buy that game, Animal Crossing.
I can't wait.
Delays are good, but like, do you see all the stuff about how because some reports were like, maybe this is so they don't have to crunch. It's like, no, so they can crunch for longer.
Yeah,
of course it is.
Don't sugarcoat that. Like that's. That is a bad time those devs are having all the way up until September now. And probably after as well.
And they've probably been in hell for ages because obviously they don't take these delays lightly.
Yeah.
So they've probably been crunching for so long. So there's a cut-off now. If it's not done by this date, we have to delay it.
Yeah.
So they've probably been under the cosh for so long anyway. Now it's like, for them, it's like, oh God, now we've got another 6 months of this.
Yeah.
But
pretty shit.
Yeah. I also don't think this will be the end of the delays. I mean, this is like a lot of the big ones, but... So obviously, Last of Us was meant to be out last year, and then this year, and it got delayed. Even like the earlier date for this year got pushed back, didn't it? And it's such a big game. I think there's a possibility of that slipping, even if it's just a month. Animal Crossing,
Again,
maybe.
though, hasn't that been delayed like 4 times?
Yeah, it's been delayed like 3. I think it was maybe out last year, then out earlier this year, then they pushed it back again. But it's a massive title. They're going to want it as good as they can get it, and if they see it's not up to the standard, then...
They will, but every day that they're working on it, man, they're losing money on that thing. It's
when
it's
you
crazy.
consider, so they've added, how many months have they added? 3, 4?
Oh no, but like 6.
Got to count. So every month of, 300-400 professional salaries, that's fucking expensive. And obviously, these delays have to go through shareholders and accountants or whoever. It must be an absolutely horrible situation to be in for everyone involved. Well, apart from the people who will eventually just make shitloads of money when it comes out. But
what about Animal Crossing? Has that been delayed, or was it just never really confirmed?
No, it was delayed. Yeah, it was supposed to be the end of last year, but then it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hope that drops on time.
So yeah,
it definitely will. There's no way.
What would you do if they come out with a statement saying we're delaying it again because we're currently working on some new characters for Smash Brothers?
Yeah.
James would lose his shit.
I do wonder, all this, talk of delays and stuff. Video games have for a long time been incredibly hit led, right? In that 90% of games lose money, but the ones that make a bit actually make enough to cover the rest. And I just wonder, how long this can go on, because it feels like the delays or games that come out more or less on time but are just a bit buggy and take time to get right. Is this just going to keep getting worse as games get more detailed and
graphically
more intense and et cetera, et cetera?
Possibly.
Is it just going to come a point?
And...
is it just going to come a point where it's just it is no longer financially viable to make them any more complex or realistic?
Yeah.
But, don't know.
You do wonder, and I still pray for the time where they don't announce dates so early. I mean, they've got to announce them, obviously, as we talk for, because there's all a business behind the whole thing. But it's just, I wish for a future where they just go, this game's out next month.
Well, Bethesda
we don't
did
know
that
about
for
the
a
delays,
bit, right? Bethesda, they were hey, here's some screenshots of new Fallout. Do you want to play it next month? Good, because it's out. They did that with a few games, and that really seemed to work. In terms of because obviously the traditional model is months and months and months of build up and releasing footage and interviews and trailers and but to just be hey, this is out really soon. that like the shock of that was like a story in and of itself. Maybe that's the thing, is that like that works like once or twice, and then the shine comes off it. Like you can only do that so many times, and it's only interesting so many
possibly,
times.
But I think it's more to do with the fact that they've got to project sales to the investors.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Is Bethesda, was it like privately owned at one point? Because even now we know, like EA have already said now that there'll be like a new Need for Speed next year, or again maybe end of. They said like next like couple of years there'll be one. There'll be like a new Battlefield, not this year but next year. So they already have to announce these things for investors. Maybe for whatever reason Bethesda didn't have to do that, or they didn't have to project so far ahead.
Knows? Yeah. Who the fuck knows?
Yep.
Right, okay. Is that it for the news?
That's it, yeah.
Well, let's see. Are you all right, James?
Yep.
Okay,
come on, mate. James, I'm sorry.
It's hanging in
Fuck
there.
off, Matt.
James, come on then. Cheer us up by telling us about what games you've been playing this week. How about that?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I've not really played that much this week. I finished Shenmue 3, which I was quite...
You finished it?
Yeah, I was quite pleased to get to the end of it, to be honest. I mean, I started playing it like ages ago, like, before Christmas, and then I came back, and it wasn't bad to get back into, because sometimes when you go back to stuff, it's like, oh, what's going on? Then I just remember there's nothing going on, so it's fine. It was pretty easy to get back into again. It was kind of fine. But I've still got really mixed feelings about it, because there's so much about this game where I was saying to you, Dave, I think there's a lot of things they could have fixed in this, and it still would have been Shenmue, and it would have been fine.
Wow, this is it, isn't it? I mean, the big buzz around the game when it first came out was, oh my god, they've kept as close to the original format as they possibly could, and that is a really good thing. But that feeling lasts like maybe 2 or 3 hours worth of gameplay, and then you're like, oh.
It's just simple things like picking stuff up. Like, there's a point. I mean, I was listening to another podcast where they were saying there's this point where, when you're in this hotel, you can pick up like apples like at the start of every day, and it's like you pick them up like one at a time, and you have to like go through about 3 button presses to pick up each apple. And it's just like, what's the point? Like, what is the point of that? Like, it's like, I'm going to pick up, look at this, it's not bad rendered apple, and then put it in my pocket, and that's it. And it's like, but doing that so many times, and also the fact that you can't like skip through conversations either. I mean, that you can after you've gone through it once, but then after that you can't. The first time you can't, and some of the dialogue's not great, and it's just, I mean, that's also part of Shenmue, obviously, but it still feels a bit irritating, like forcing you to go through that. And also, towards the end of the game, it has that same thing as Shenmue 2, where there's like a big focus on earning money so that you can progress the story. And, I mean, I didn't mind that too much, because... I've quite enjoyed like the training in order to progress and stuff, but it does feel like really arbitrary, like doing that. I mean, you hated that, didn't you, in Shenmue 2, Dave?
Well, my biggest problem with it in Shenmue 3, from what I've played so far, is that there's no clear indication of when you're ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like... So the bit that I'm at, I need to fight those thugs that are they're threatening someone in the alleyway or whatever. And the first time I went up and tried to fight them, it was clear that I was nowhere near ready. But it's like, okay, so what level do I need to be ready to fight them? There's no indication of how powerful I need to make my character, and it seems like I can just keep hammering away at these mini games to improve my my stats. But, do I just keep trial and error, see if it works this time? No, I'm still getting my ass kicked. Okay, back to training. It's not very intuitive, is it?
But it gets worse than that, because you see, towards the end, I was just like, okay, I'm clearly not like strong enough to do this stuff, so I'm going to spend some time doing training. So I sat there and I spent a long time like doing like maxing everything out, like basically like for the character, and then I went into fights and was beating anybody down like really easily. Like, it wasn't really too difficult at all. And like several of these fights I like had won basically, but then you lose for the sake of the story. So, you've knocked someone right down, they're on like red or whatever, and then suddenly it goes into a cutscene and you lose. And it just feels to me, this just never sits right, because it just feels like such a throwback. That does, like,
what's the point?
At least make it so that they're really good, like you can't get hit in or something like that, rather than just doing it like that. And I really didn't like that. But see, my biggest problem with the game overall, though, is that when I finished it and I was just sitting there and just thinking, nothing's actually happened in this game, like really. Like, very, very little has happened. And, I mean, I'd go as far as to say that even less than in the first two games, like, happens, like, story-wise throughout this, which is fine, because that is part of the whole sort of slow burn kind of thing. But there's slow burn, and there's, like, nothing at all, like, really sort of progressing at all. And it's also, I mean, it finishes, like, really abruptly as well. It's, like, over, like, quite quickly. And I just sat there just thinking, I don't feel like I've achieved anything from this at all. Like, I've walked around these nice environments, which has been fine, and I didn't feel like I'd built any relationships really with people in the same way that I had in the first two games. Because, I mean, you remember, I mean, you know, obviously in the first game, you meet people like Tom, you meet the people down like at the harbour and everything, and you get to know their lives and stuff like that. I'd never really felt that I did that with this game, and maybe I could have spent more time like doing side missions or whatever to do that, but I still didn't get that from the main characters I was meeting either. Like, this felt super
That was my
narrow.
biggest complaint with 2. Yeah, that was my biggest problem with 2. I never felt like I knew any of the characters by the end of it. Like, there was no arcs to any stories or anything. It was just nothing. And yeah, I mean, I definitely get that vibe from this one.
And it's like, I mean, there's characters in this that they bring back from Shenmue 2. But it feels like I'm just sitting there thinking, why are you here? Like, I've no idea why you're here. Like, it's not explained why you've come to China at all. Like, I don't know why you're just walking around this city. Like, I really don't know. Like, and it just, that is the stuff that feels like fan service. You know, it just feels like, oh, you know, everyone loved this character, we've got to stick them in there. But there's no logical reason for them to be there whatsoever. And that I found that kind of irritating. It's it really wasn't so good. I mean, the second location you go to is quite good, because have you got there yet, Dave?
No.
Okay, because it's like, I mean, it's a town which ends up being significantly bigger than you think it is. Like, it you know, at the start it feels like it's tiny, but then it really opens up, becomes massive. But it also feels a little bit kind of devoid of life, really. And I mean, the other thing that annoyed me throughout the whole of this game was obviously like historical inaccuracy as well. I mean, that just bothered me throughout. I tried to get over it, but I just couldn't, because it's just ridiculous. It's totally just fantasy, like, you know, what that would be, and that kind of irritated me. But I mean, I can't really explain this beyond nostalgia, but I did enjoy playing it mostly, and I would like to play another one if there was one. But again, it's nostalgia, I think, rather than it actually being very good.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And
Weird.
I was just mostly disappointed that it really didn't drive the story much further along. And I think, you know, seeing as you're playing this for like 30, 40 hours or whatever, that feels a bit unforgivable, to be honest. You know, that you would do that.
You see, you can definitely see why when they said, "Oh, this is barely 40% into the main story."
Yeah, it
Cool.
feels like that.
Alright.
It's not so good, but I don't know. I'm sure people have enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed what I played of it, but then, as I said, by the time I got to the end, I just felt I don't feel like I've achieved anything here. It just feels, I don't know what the point
Shame.
was.
Well, what would you give it as a review score?
I don't know, maybe 6 or something like that. Maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7, probably a 6.
Damning.
Yeah, mate.
Damning.
Yeah, mate.
All right, okay. What else have you been playing?
The other thing I played is Unfinished Swan.
Yeah.
Right. I saw this on your list. I'm excited. Have you
Yeah.
played this before?
No, I've never played it before. It's one of those games
Oh,
that
James.
I got ages ago and never got round to playing, and I just thought, well, I wanted to change of pace after Shenmue, so I thought I'll stick this on. And
Let me be clear.
Go on.
I adored this game to the point where I think it came out around the same time as Journey. Is that right? It sounds right.
I don't
I
know.
think
Not sure.
It was either Journey or there was another indie game that everyone was raving about at the same time, and I remember thinking, why aren't people going crazy over this? I got good review scores and stuff, but this, I loved the Unfinished Swan. I loved it. So, for those of people that haven't heard of it, what is it?
well, it's basically like a puzzle platformer, isn't it? Really, like in 3D, like where it's a puzzle platformer.
Yeah, the puzzles are very light, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's not too taxing. But it's a first person arty sort of game with some neat ideas, right? The idea being that you start off and everything is completely white, you can't see anything, and you navigate the space by throwing paint at things, and it reveals environment. But then as you go on, like I went into the game thinking, oh, this is the mechanic all the way through. That's pretty cool. but it quickly drops that, and it adds say shadows in. And
I was really relieved that it wasn't that, actually, because I didn't enjoy the first level or so. I was just like, I'm not enjoying this.
I loved it. I loved the first level, but I remember thinking, I hope this does more than just this.
Yeah,
and it does.
Like, and it really does, because they keep on sort of throwing in new mechanics, like as you sort of progress through it. It's not very long. I mean, I think it's only about 2 hours long, isn't it? It's pretty short.
It's really
2 to
short.
3 hours, yeah.
But it tells a nice story as well, which is kind of interesting. I really enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it. Yeah, the kids sat there watching me play.
It's a truly wonderful story. Like I adored the story. I like the 3D modelling mechanic that it just drops in. Like, was incredible. Yeah. But more, I wonder if you know this. You played Is it Dear Esther?
No, What Remains of Edith Finch.
What Remains of Edith Finch. You played that game, right?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
You know it's made by the same devs.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So did you spot that they are set in the same universe?
No, I had no clue. But yeah.
So
for those of you that don't know, do you want to go through the theory? Well, it's not so much a theory; it's kind of spelled out.
Yeah. So long story short, so in the Unfinished Swan, a lot of the story is about this king who rules this magical kingdom, and he's got a magic paintbrush, I think, and that's how he creates things. And his name, and you find out that, I think you find out towards the end, his name is Milton, and. Yeah, in What Remains of Edith Finch, which is a game very much set in the real world about, you play as Edith, and you're finding out what happened to all your siblings, and the whole thing is that maybe there's this family curse because loads of them, a lot of your siblings or ancestors, whatever, died in weird circumstances, and at one point you find that your brother Milton, who was obsessed with painting, just randomly disappeared one day.
Oh.
And there's paintings in the style of the Unfinished Swan. So the implication is he actually did somehow get a magic paintbrush and became the king of this other kingdom.
Or either that, or you're seeing his delusion.
Yes.
The Unfinished One is his delusion.
Yeah, the Unfinished One is just a fever dream. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's Yeah, I mean, that's what I liked about the game the most, is that it added so many different mechanics and added them for a little bit and then dropped them completely. And it really worked. But also how beautiful it looked.
Yeah.
It's
which is incredible for a game where you see nothing. The first time you see the maze, once the shadows are introduced, you're like, fuck me, this really does look good.
I mean, I said that, you walk out onto like a balcony and then you see the city down below.
That's right.
And I was just like, I was like, look at that. Look how good that looks. And this was a PS3 game originally, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
It was, it looked great on that as well. So I know they enhanced it for the PS4 version.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just high res, to be honest with you. But if you've not played the Unfinished Swan, I think it's practically free on PlayStation these days. You've got to play it.
It's also, I mean, the ending as well just made. I felt really sad.
Lump in the throat moment.
It was, but it was another one of those games though where I was just thinking, I wish that there was more stuff like this on PlayStation still, because there seemed to be a golden era of that, where there was loads of these sort of indie games and stuff that came on
Flower and stuff like that.
And that seems to have gone by the wayside now, and it's kind of a shame, because this was really nice. I mean, you can play stuff like this obviously on Switch, but it's really nice to have something look this good.
And it felt like, as you say, it felt like there was this era where Sony were really sort of curating this stuff. There was a distinct feel to a lot of the cool indie stuff.
Yeah, they were part
getting.
of the indie scene, and they're definitely don't feel part of the indie scene now. I mean, you've got Microsoft. Game Pass really helps them with that. It seems like they're pushing indie stuff on that. Yeah. But then you look at Nintendo, and they seem to be the indie scene at the moment.
They do, but then they seem to be letting any old shit on the Switch now.
Yeah, it is a bit of a problem. I mean, when you go to the special offers bit on that, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Some of them, I was looking on the other day, and some of them is they haven't even bothered changing the titles of the games, these indie companies that are porting it over to it. It's like Touch Tycoon. I know it's got a touch screen, but come on.
It's such a shame, because like you say, sort of browsing, whether it's the sale or just the recent releases, I just glaze over 95% of it now. Like, there's so many games. It's like, guess what? If the image you've put, the first image you've put of the game on the store looks like a bit rubbish, I'm never gonna look at your game ever again.
yeah.
And
The amount of them that are like really bad anime stuff as well. You know what I mean? It's like,
and like the amount,
just all over that shit.
like games that have just come out, and the developers have like discounted them to 50% or whatever, 50% off. And you're like, I know you've done that to like get people's attention and get a bit of initial interest, but it just makes it look a bit like you don't think your game is actually worth the original amount you said.
Well, it's really gone
totally.
like iOS App Store, isn't it? In terms of like, it's the race to the bottom and just too much content. Like, it's just far too much there.
Yeah,
and also like you said, like discoverability is really bad as well. Trying to find like what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
Matt, have you played the unfinished one?
I haven't. No.
Oh, it's great. It's
Essential.
I should play it.
Like I say, so
absolutely.
like really brief, really cheap, but just wonderful.
Yeah,
it sounds great, and I absolutely loved Edith Fincher's. A fantastic game.
Yeah, I mean, don't expect the same sort of thing. It's totally different. But it is. I mean, I would say it's essential. I absolutely adored it.
Also, if you're a bit like the first level, as I said, I didn't find it that interesting. If you're just thinking, like, I don't know if I want to sit through this like for hours, it ends quite quickly. That bit.
This is because what's interesting is, so initially I had no interest in this game because it was at EGX, and
that's right.
And that bit was all the demo was. Mm-hmm. So you came away thinking like, oh fucking hell, I'm not doing that for 3-4 hours. Like, like it was a cool idea, but and then obviously, people played it and like, no, honestly, like actually play it. It's really good. Like that bit only lasts about 10 minutes. That sort of demo hurt it a bit, I think.
I might play that again this week.
Yeah,
I might play that again this week. Yeah. I mean, we're in a period where it's just like, what the fuck? Are we going to play for the show? You know what I mean? And really, that I'd love to jump back into that and just give it a quick playthrough because I loved it.
Yeah, I wonder if I have that in like a humble bundle or something.
You might well do a PlayStation Plus,
DVD.
maybe.
I think it was on PlayStation
definitely on
Plus.
PlayStation Plus.
Because I think that's how I got it. It was through that,
Have a look.
Cool. What made you play it? Sorry, before we move on, what made you go to it this week?
Well, I was just looking through like all the games I've got like on PlayStation. And I just was like, well, as I said, I finished Shenmue 3 and I just wanted something a bit different. And I'd heard things about this, and I don't know why, but I thought that you hated it. I'm not sure why that was. Like, it was maybe I was thinking of Sean.
That's just stereotyping, James. That's what that is.
I mean, it does sound like a game that I'd hate, so I'm not offended. I'm not offended.
James is like, well, he does like football, and this is art, so. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. What else you got?
Then also I've been playing Stories Untold, which I think because Matt's been playing that as well, haven't you, Matt?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So Stories Untold is this new Devolver thing, is that right?
Yeah, although it's already out, isn't it? On
it's not new, is it?
Yeah, but also
this
game originally came out in 2017 on PC.
Woo.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Matt, why are you playing?
I was going to say, what on earth are you doing, Matt?
Well, it's not on a back. James, do you wanna...
It's not on a back.
It's not on a backlog. It's not on the Matlog.
James, what is it and what's it like?
So basically, it's a kind of a text adventure, which is with puzzle elements. That the puzzle elements get stronger and stronger, and the sort of the visual styling. I mean, it reminds me a lot of like Stranger Things. Like they've got that whole sort of like synth vibe going on for stuff, and also sort of like 80s kind of atmosphere and everything. And what it is it's supposed to be kind of like a horror game where there's 4 episodes, which are apparently the story's linked, but I haven't finished it yet. I'm only about 2/3 of the way through. And like you play each episode and then more of the story seems to get unlocked, and then eventually by the end, I've heard it will all make sense, like everything. And the gameplay is basically like a text adventure where you're sitting, like you see a computer on a table, and then you can like input commands for like as if it were a text adventure on the screen. So it says things like, you're outside a house, sitting in your car, and then you have a chance to do stuff like, look around the car, like, so you like type in, or not typing in because you have to like press one of the buttons to then bring up the options of like use, go, and stuff like that. And then you basically sort of solve sort of problems and like solve puzzles by like picking up key, like, there's a key inside the like the what was it in so the
glove
box.
compartment.
Yeah, like the glove box in the
Don't
car.
ruin it.
And stuff like that, and then it's like, you know, use the key to like get in the house, and then you go into the house, and it's like, okay, now you're standing in the hallway. You know, there is a
God,
kitchen.
what is this fucking game facts?
Basically, yeah. I mean, it's like Nightmare or whatever. You know, like you're sitting there. You know, like, it's just text adventure. But the whole point is, it's supposed to be like a horror, like a sort of a horror sort of adventure that you're playing through. And the first episode is really good. I really enjoyed it. It was very effective because it does this whole thing whereby. I can't say, can I? Because it'll totally ruin the story. That's the problem with these games. Is I can never actually say what happens that makes it cool because otherwise it will ruin it for anyone who wants to play it. But it's what did you think of it, Matt? Like the first episode?
I thought it was really good. It made me jump a couple of points. Did it make you jump?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I was playing with headphones on. I was like, "Oh shit, okay." It's not like a scary game to look at, but it's really good in terms of atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, so out of 4 episodes, I think I've just done the second chapter, just for starting the pod tonight. I'm definitely gonna keep going. Yeah, it's not super scary. I'm interested in how these stories are linked. There's definitely a theme so far, just based on the first couple of chapters. But yeah, I saw a trailer for this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was like, this looks brilliant, and it's only today I looked into it a bit more, and I realised, like the game came out like in 2017 on the PC. It took a while to get over to Switch, but I'm enjoying it so far, and like I'm happy that it's relatively short. It feels very atmospheric, and I'm interested to see what this does narratively to connect these 4 seemingly quite different stories.
See, that's the thing, because it's the only thing that I don't like about it is the puzzle, like the puzzle element for it. Like in the first episode, the puzzle stuff is really. I nearly did it, but it didn't happen. Yeah, the puzzle stuff in the first episode is really light, and it's really more about like exploration and trying to and the atmosphere. But then as the episodes have gone on, the puzzle stuff has become like more and more not difficult but just irritating. I found like I'm on the third of the 4 episodes and I'm stuck at the moment, and it's irritating me. And it's one of those things where it's like the puzzle, I know I can probably figure this out, but the way that the puzzle's presented makes me I can't be asked to do it. It's the problem. It's just irritating because what it is that you're in charge of this how do I put this, like communication station, and you get these codes that come in and you have to like type in like a responding code to then send it back. And to work out what the codes are, you've got like a manual that you've got to read through. But the manual isn't like in a paper manual, it's in one of those, you know, like the machines they have in libraries for going through like old newspapers and stuff.
Oh, the microfiche or whatever it's called.
That's it.
Zoom in on the
the microfilm. Yeah, one of these. So it's like a microfilm machine that you have to like go through, and you have to like zoom through and like change like the settings all the time, because if you move, like if you want to be able to like see it properly, you have to zoom in, and you zoom in, and then you have to like refocus it every time, and it just, the whole process of doing that, it's fine for a while, but then it starts to get irritating when you can't figure out like, you know, what you're actually looking for, and that. It's something which has begun to stop me wanting to continue because I'm finding it too irritating.
Yeah, I mean, you're legendary for how much you hate any sort of puzzles.
I hate puzzle games, and this is always the problem because you see, I absolutely love like narrative games. I love like being like a good story in something, but the problem is that, you know, for developers is always to try and figure out a way that you can do that and include gameplay, and unfortunately that often includes puzzles because that seems to be the way they figure out that they can sort of engage the player.
Some people like them, James. Some people
do,
like puzzles.
I don't, and I find it very irritating. And so, as I said, the third episode, it has killed my feeling for it to a degree because the atmosphere is just not. The atmosphere is so good, but then it's like being ruined from the fact that I'm just sitting here thinking, I don't want to have to keep going through this microfilm. It's irritating. And but probably I will at some point.
James, in the second episode, you basically, there's a puzzle where you're sort of looking at, you got 2 things to look at. You can sort of switch location, and in that first location you have like a manual. I just took pictures of it on my phone, and then when I went to the second location, I just looked at the pictures on my phone. I was like, that's way better than keep switching and zooming in and switching and zooming in.
Yeah, and maybe
that's not in the maybe that's not sort of the way the game's supposed to be played, but it's just felt easier to me.
But also, like when you're trying to like look at stuff, because obviously, I mean, I'm playing it in handheld mode, so things are not very easy to see sometimes.
Oh my god, the text is ridiculously small.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm playing a handheld. I don't know what's like on actual TV, but it is. I mean, I can read it, but it's like, okay, this is microscopic.
Yeah, and you can zoom in, like you can do that, but then that also is irritating. Like the way it's implemented is not great. Wait until you get to the microfilm, Matt. It's driving me mad. It's just going through that.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's more irritating, but it's just I don't know. This is a personal problem I've got. I mean, the game as itself, I would still recommend it probably for anybody that enjoys like the puzzles. Basically, it's just that's not for me. But atmospherically and story wise, I think it's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
So, all right, Matt. Well, we'll continue with you then. What else have you been playing?
It's just that Sekiro. Still racing through it. Done a couple of extra bosses. I'm in. Well, I got an achievement last night, basically saying that I've reached every location in the game. So I must be getting near the end. I had a big decision, and if I had chosen one way, the game would have ended in like 2 fights. But I went the right way. And now I'm in a new location, and did a couple of bosses last night, and I'm still loving it.
Cool.
I think I said to you on the bonus show, but I prefer us to Bloodborne right now.
Cool. All right.
Well, I'm a big fan.
Happy for you. Happy for you. Shall I do mine?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, can do.
The main game I've been playing this week is Halo Reach because it came out over Christmas. It came out on the Master Chief Collection on Xbox One. My word. I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned on the show because I was off the show when we decided to do this, but about a year ago, I sort of thought, I don't really know what to play, so I'm going to play through every Halo game. And I told Chet, and he was like, yeah, I'll do that with you. And I was like, oh, cool, yeah, because they're all co-op, aren't they? So we went through 1, 2, 3, and then we got halfway through ODST and stopped for months. And then we were like, well, why aren't we continuing that thing? It was pretty fun to do. And I said, all right, let's do that again. We were a couple of levels left of Halo ODST, so we knocked them out in a night or two. And then Reach was out, so we started playing Reach. I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying Halo Reach. I mean, no, I played it at the time. What's weird is that I must have just like blitzed through the single player just so I could crack on with the multiplayer, when it come out. Because there are bits that I remember, but large chunks of it I don't. Whereas, Halo 1, you remember everything. Halo 2, there's large parts that you remember. Same with 3, really. But ODST, I never completed at the time. So going back to that was interesting because I've met so many people that are like, that's the best one. That's the best one. And when you go back and play them all in quick succession, you're like, nah, it's not. It's really not. Halo ODST feels like a bunch of levels that they'd tried to put in other Halo games and they didn't work out and they were on the cutting room floor and they just stitched them into this thing. That's what it felt like anyway. I really didn't like ODST. It was one of my least favourites. Better than Halo 2, don't get me wrong, but Reach is insane. Like, it's insane.
I loved it at the time. It felt, I mean, like, I've loved all the Halo games. That some have been less good than others, but Reach felt like it felt like a real return to form.
We said there's not one duff level. It's really fun to play. When it introduces jetpacks, it's like, oh my god, this is just such a good way to get around. And some of the battles are great, and the enemies that it's introduced are fantastic. The weapons all feel right. Like, it feels like the first time that the pistol is back. And that was what ODST was supposed to be, but it's not, because that was sort of counterbalanced by the ridiculous amount of enemies that are just got way too much health. This just feels just right. And there's like this mental space battle bit in the middle of it where you're like flying around in spaceships and stuff and fighting off banshees and protecting this sort of like space station, and it just looks incredible and feels fantastic to play. Like, they nail it. They nail everything they did in this. Mate, honestly, what a great experience it's been going through it. And it introduced 4-player co-op. I think that was the first Halo that did that.
Well, no. I mean, 4-player co-op was from day one.
Yeah, I thought it was.
No.
Yeah,
no. Yeah, you could do a legendary 4-player Halo, the original Halo.
No, you can't. Hang on. Do you mean Combat Evolved?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
In 4-player?
Yes.
No, you couldn't. It was unless it.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, right,
I think.
okay.
So I remember, so 3 you definitely could do 4-player.
Right, okay, so 3 we missed out doing 4-player on. I'm pretty sure 2 you couldn't, because you were just Master Chief and the Arbiter, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Throughout. Well, that's what we were. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's only 2-player. But someone will correct us. We'll get bombarded with tweets this week, no doubt.
Coincidentally, I also started playing this recently.
What, Reach?
Yeah. Cause,
what are you up to?
Well, this is the thing. You see, I started playing this with my group on Friday, Friday evening. And because I saw you were on it as well, I thought, oh, that's weird. It's like weird coincidence.
Yeah.
And we just started playing it. We only played about 2 missions in, and then one of us got kicked out of the group, and then so we were like, well, okay, he can't. What is it with this game where you can't re-add people while a mission's going on?
Yeah, that sucks because we were in the middle of a mission last night, just playing 2-player co-op, and John came online, and we were like, come play Reach with us, and he was like, yeah, all right then. We're like, oh, you can't join mid-mission. You've got to wait until we're done. Remember, this is 9 years old, this game.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah, but it is a jazzed up re-release. It's not just a port. They could have... I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's only slightly jazzed up. It's not exactly... I wouldn't say it's like a complete re-release, really. And... But you know, maybe that causes problems for the difficulty settings and stuff if you just introduce a third player.
Maybe that's what it is. It totally changes the scripting and stuff.
Yeah.
So we played for about an hour and a half, and we got about 2 missions in, I think it was. And then, so one of us got kicked, and then so we were like, well, okay, what are we going to do? We're near the end of this level, but he really wants to help finish it as well. So the host was like, okay, we'll just stop then, and we'll have to go back to this level, started from the start. He quit. Yeah. Went out, and then he was like, okay, let's all get back in, let's start again. It hadn't saved, and so we had to start right from the beginning again. And that was the point where I was like, no, I'm not playing now.
It hadn't saved, right. So did you see a loading screen between missions?
I don't know, because I wasn't in control of the
right, that's
stuff.
probably not it then, right? So the way it works in this, and yeah, I agree it's frustrating, is that there are loads of moments where it comes up with a little title in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah.
So it feels like a new mission, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a new mission when you hit that loading screen, and then you know for definite that it's a new mission. But there are moments during that first mission where you think, okay, right, we've done that bit, cool, we can leave and then start again. But actually, that'll just take you back to the start of the game. Yeah, no, it's a bit frustrating with stuff like that. But I mean, it's a shame one of you got kicked, because I mean, I thought it automatically cancels you out once someone leaves anyway.
I don't know.
Like it says insufficient players, and then
no.
you all get booted.
That's the point.
We
if you can't add someone because of balancing issues, then surely if someone leaves,
well, this
it should
is
just
it though,
stop
Sean,
play
because
completely.
Whenever I've left, when we start the next mission, because it automatically goes on to the next one, and I say, no, I'm going to bed, and I quit out to the main menu, it comes up on chat screen that your cart partner has left, and then it closes the game for him as well.
Oh, right.
No, didn't do that for us. It's
It's weird.
It was quite it was annoying. I mean, definitely we'll go back to it because it was brilliant. It's still really, really fun, really, really fun to play, but that sort of thing is a bit irritating. But the Master Chief
Collection... I'd like
collection...
to see where it sits compared to 4, because obviously we're going on to 4 next. We're right at the end of Reach. We got 2 missions left, I think, and it'd be interesting to see how it compares to 4, because I remember playing 4 with you and Matt and loving it. So yeah,
I remember loving the game. I know zero about the story. Oh yeah, by the way, the first Halo 1 and 2 were just 2-player co-op. By the way,
sorry.
Halo 1 and 2, it's just 2-player in co-op.
Right.
Yeah, it was 3 onwards.
4 players onwards. Yeah.
All right. So with the story, Matt, I have played 1, 2, 3, ODST, and Reach. I still haven't got a fucking clue about the story, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. It was never about the story for me.
And that,
I don't even know what the Forerunners are, Sean.
Do you know what the Halo is yet? Have you worked out what the Halo is?
Yeah. It's the little AI thing in your head, right?
Yeah, Swan.
Good.
It's the gun, isn't it?
No, I
thought it was the gun.
Tell you what, though, Master Chief Collection is still a mess, though, in terms of it not working and stuff like that.
This is what's weird. It's a completely different experience for me. I know it's that irritating thing, but I've never had that problem, so I can't relate to those frustrations.
You know what happened to us, because it wasn't just me. It was also one of the others in the group. I started up, like I downloaded it, and obviously it's like 100 gig update or whatever, that you got to do. And then once I started the game, you press start, and then nothing happened for 10 minutes. Like I had to just sit there and wait because it was, like it does like this sort of the thing going round to show you something's going to happen, but then it just sort of stopped, and I thought, okay, well, it's crashed. So I quit the game and then went back, still did the same thing. I'd look online, a lot of people have had the same problem. You just have to leave it, and then eventually after 10 minutes later it starts the game. Fortunately after that it's fine, but the first time you start it up, it's it doesn't work so well. I wonder if
this is an original Xbox thing.
It might be, it may well be, yeah, but
are all your crew on original Xboxes?
No, not everybody, no.
Huh. I wonder if that is a factor, because obviously we're playing on X's, and we've had no problems with loading. And what's the 100 gig update thing you were talking about?
Well, that was when I first put the disc in. I put disc in. It was like, okay.
Right, yeah. So the game is 100 gig. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. But the update was really funny because when we were ready to go over to Reach, I was like, oh fuck's sake, I haven't got it installed. Like, you have to have it, it's a separate install for it. And I was like, this is going to take forever. And I looked at it, it was 10 megs. And I was like, oh, right, okay, it's just an unlock key then, fine. So, yeah, it only took me 2 seconds to do. But, no, that's a shame. That's a shame you're experiencing that stuff, because that would really piss me off. But yeah, no, it's flawless for us. It's been brilliant, really good experience. And, I'm surprised at how well it's held up, really. I was expecting it to be just, at least a little bit ropey, but I've just not experienced that at all. I've just fucking loved every moment of it.
Are you going to go back and play Halo 5 Guardians again?
Yes. I've never played it.
Oh, really?
So that'll be interesting, yeah.
It's not great.
Chet warns me that it is down there with Halo 2, so I'll be interested to see how I react to it.
It just didn't feel like a Halo game to me.
I really didn't like it. It was so...
Yeah, not many people did, so I'll report back once I've done that one. But yeah, we got to get through Halo 4 first, which, if I remember correctly, took us about 2 nights when we played it.
Yeah.
So it's not a long one, but we'll do that. And then finally, I started Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is a game that I can't believe that I've not played, because I absolutely adored the first 2 of the new era of Tomb Raider games. And I'd heard nothing but good things from close friends about this one. And yeah, I mean, I'm still very early on, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours into it. But I mean, forgetting everything else, it is fucking stunning. There's a scene where you're walking through the forest for the first time just after your plane's crashed, and you see all this wildlife around you as you're walking along, and it's like monkeys like looking down from the trees, and what is a cheetah or something, or a saber-toothed tiger or some shit. They're extinct, right?
Yeah.
So maybe not a saber-toothed tiger, but
a dinosaur.
Some sort of like scary cat thing was growling at me, and it was just like, wow. This game, it's like, when you get those games where they look so good that you think, I wish I could just like take 10 minutes of game footage and send it back in time to me when I was a kid, so I could say, that shit that you think looks really good now, this is what games are going to look like in a few years. Fuck me. But yeah, no, I mean, I always love those Tomb Raider games, and this feels like another one of those. I think it's a bit of a shame that it didn't take more of a step forward. And it certainly doesn't feel like it's going to take a step forward. But I just felt that I was in the mood for a game of this style this week, and it really hit those sort of notes. The physics-based puzzles and the light combat and stuff like that. It's really good. I sent you a video of it, James, like the opening scene where you're walking through this like town in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Did you see it?
I did, yeah, and it did look incredible.
Was it all like compressed and stuff?
No, it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that scene is just stunning. Just walking around that town and the hustle and bustle of the place, it just really comes across. It's really good. The only problem is that it was set in, Coco.
Yes, the film.
It was set in the same sort of festival. I can't remember what it's called, but it's one of those situations where it's like you see a piece of media like that, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, that's a really cool thing. You know, it's a really cool place and setting, and the festival's interesting and the tradition's interesting. That's really good. And then you see it everywhere because it's like loads of people are picking it up and running with it after watching Coco. But yeah, no, it's really good, really good.
Yeah, I did. My sort of desire to actually play that game just sort of waned. I loved the first reboot, and the second one arguably improved on everything the first one did, but I just didn't get as much of a buzz from it because it felt like, okay, well, I've sort of seen this. I enjoyed it massively, and this one I hear improved it once again, but at that point I was like, I played 2. I'm not like going to kill myself to try and get this game played, but I know I have fun with it if I were to give it a go. Is it on Game Pass?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and that's how I'm playing it. It's, you know how much I love those games. So for me to go, I'm not going to bother with this. It was kind of a big thing. Like if you can't get me involved, then what's the point? And I say that a lot to games devs.
Yeah, but why are you bothering?
Yeah, if you ain't got me on board, give up.
Does this game have more like side tombs? Because those are all my favourite.
I haven't discovered any side tombs yet, but it must have them. Yeah. But already there's been way more puzzles than the start of the recent games. Like it opens with a few puzzles, so yeah, it's pretty cool. I've got no interest in doing the stealth stuff in that game. I just want to go in and just shoot everyone. And what's good about this game is that it gives you the option to do it. If you get caught, there's a punishment of more enemies. But sounds good to me. Give me more things to shoot. It's not a punishment. I'm happy with that. Yeah, so I will go back to it definitely this week. Good game. All right, Sean,
mate, I've got nothing this week.
Fine.
Go on.
Fine. I said fine.
I was away with work for ages, and I just ended up binging The Expanse, which is an excellent TV show available on Amazon Prime. I'm still playing Pokemon Go. That's been a constant thing. You've
not even been tempted by that new Pokemon game?
No, weirdly.
What's it?
No. Like the stuff I enjoy about Pokemon Go, like the actual Pokemon aspect of it is sort of by the by. Like I enjoy obviously, yeah, the fact that it's got Pokemon in it is quite cool, I guess. But like, I'm so out of touch with Pokemon that the other week they're like, oh, we've added a load of, I think is it Gen 5 Pokemon, and I'm like, oh, mate, most of these are new to me. Like, unless it's one of the original 150, I'm pretty. Yeah, that's still great. There was a really weird article on Eurogamer about, I think it ends up being more of a comment on, the way like mobile games, and especially free-to-play ones, are designed to keep you hooked and stuff. But it started out like, the guy who wrote the piece was like, I've had to stop playing Pokemon Go because I really liked it, but the way it keeps you playing is really insipid and horrible, and it makes you addicted to it. And I did not recognise the game he was describing. He's like, he was talking about
what things was he moaning about?
Well, he was moaning about the fact that as you when you find Pokestops and you spin them, this little disc appears on screen, you swipe it, and that's how you get items. Like that's you checking in at a location. You sometimes you'll get. I think they're called research tasks, which is basically it'll just be catch 5 Pokemon, or do a certain, when you throw Pokeballs, you can do it in a certain way to increase your chance of capturing and stuff. And so it'd be get 5 great, 3 great throws or whatever. Just little challenges like that. And when you've completed one of those, it's up to you when you cash it in. And basically each one gets you a research stamp. So you can hold 3 of these quests at any one time, and then once a day you can get a research stamp for clearing one, right? So the smart thing to do, or as far as I'm concerned, the smart thing to do is just keep 1 or 2 completed ones in your inventory, and then every day just make sure you collect one of them, right, and get your stamp. You can only get 1 stamp a day. And then after you get, I think it's 5 or 6... you get so many stamps, you get some more shit, right? It's usually an encounter with a rare Pokemon or whatever. Point is, I don't feel pressured to do this an awful lot. I consider myself a fairly casual player, and pretty much every day I've got one of these tasks to cash in. But yeah, this piece was and you'd basically have to be making sure you'd do 3 of these a day. I was like, why? I don't. I don't know. It was just really strange. It was like he completely put this pressure on himself to like play it really intensely, and I mean the push notifications on it barely fucking work. Like it doesn't hassle you at all. I actually wish it would hassle me more because it fails to tell me about things I would like to know about. So I just found that really strange. I found it such a casual, easygoing thing. And as a result, I have spent a bit of money on it because it hasn't pissed me off with that stuff. I think
if you've got a certain personality, I mean, I can.
Maybe.
I was like super addicted to it for a bit, so I can see why.
Yeah, I mean, I am like occasionally loading it up because, like, I think I've mentioned, like, right outside my office is a gym, Pokemon gym, and I'm occasionally loading it up when I'm in the office. Probably shouldn't do that. Like, that'd be an awkward conversation if anyone spotted me doing it. But I don't know. I feel compelled rather than addicted. Like if it just so happens that on a given day I don't bother loading it up or doing anything, I'm not like oh fuck, I've fucked it. I'm not being as efficient as I could be. I don't know. I found it really easy to pick up and put down. Generally speaking,
I cannot get a gauge on whether people are enjoying that Sword and Shield game.
It's a weird one. I think most people are.
I've heard both things. I've heard it's fucking terrible and it's fucking amazing. It's really weird. I can't.
I thought most of the moaning was just around the fact that not all the Pokemon are in it. And then some of the ones that are like from the 3DS, like the models are just taken from the 3DS games and stuff.
I've heard that it's just a bit light in general as well, but
I think it is relatively short, right? And then now they've announced the DLC plans. So everyone's a bit like, right, okay, this is how you make it the length of a regular Pokemon game. Maybe that's unfair, I don't know. But yes, I had heard it was a bit on the short side. But no, everyone I know who's played it really loves it.
Cool.
And it sold fucking loads, so
that's those
it's definitely
games,
good. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
That is it
all right,
from me.
Should we get to emails then?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
If you want to email us for some reason, you can do so at podcast@thecomputergameshow.com. Lee Griggs sent us 2 questions. He says, who is the biggest show-off in the computer game show and who has the messiest desk?
Right, it's just show-off then. This is a hard one, I think.
It's Matt or Dave, right?
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
no, but when I hear the word show off to me says you've got like skills and you want to show them off.
Well, not necessarily. You can be a show off, but not actually.
Because that puts Sean right in the limelight, doesn't it?
Well,
my cooking is so good that I'm going to. Yeah, go on. What are you saying?
I'm going to fuck up on camera once a month.
Yeah,
you're talking about the Rocket League videos, right? This is where you're going with this?
No, I was just saying I don't think I can be a bigger show off. I don't think I've got the skill. If I was like, I guess show off or gloating. I don't know. Does show off? Do you have to be great to be a show off?
No, I don't think so. I think being a show off is just trying to. Like if you try to show off and you fuck it up, you're still a show off. You're just a shit one, right?
Yeah, like for example, if you went on stage, gave it all the big and about how you were going to win this competition, threw t-shirts into the audience, and then failed miserably, I'd think you'd still be considered pretty big show off.
Yep.
I think that's just like putting on performance,
the showmanship
to save the Kane and Win show
off. Yeah, like
I was just trying to save that show, you know.
Okay, so the answer's Matt then. I think that's where we've gone to.
I know. I mean, I'm for sure we're all on a day, apart from James. I'm sure we're all willing to show off.
Yeah, I do. You also said last week, well, I'm getting both day one, both consoles day one. Forget about it, mate. All right.
Messi's desk definitely not me. I like my desk at work has like it's basically just got the monitor
at work,
and the laptop on it.
I'm good at work, but at home I'm an absolute nightmare.
Okay, so I saw this question come in and I don't know the answer. Like, I don't know where I sit in terms of messy desks. So I took a photo of my desk because I was leaving work today. I just want you to have a look and sort of describe it and see what you think if it's messy. I will point out that the tray that you can see with the paper spilling over is not my desk. That's on the person next to his desk. What do you think? And I swear to God, I haven't done anything. I just thought there's no point in. I'm not going to give you a false view of what my desk looked like.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's what my desk looks.
You got some papers strewn about. and
You got
stuff.
some pens
Well,
and pencils strewn about. Yeah.
You got to remember that it is a paper and
Yeah.
pen
Yeah.
business, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's a lot of sketching and stuff like that going on, so that's always going to be there. But I don't think that's too bad.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
definitely been worse than that.
My desk at home is way worse than that when it gets bad. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I-
as a
I-
random
this
example,
is-
okay, things currently on my desk, right? I've got, phone. I've got a used tissue, only from this evening, but
Okay.
still, no, not that sort of use. I've got a nappy.
But copy of Famitsu next to the
I've
used
got
tissue.
the Famitsu copy is actually there. I've got nappy. That's there. I've got my the vehicle reg document for my wife's car because I was trying to find mine the other day. But found hers instead. That
Don't
was
need
good.
to go into it.
No, I've got a light bulb which I assume doesn't work anymore, but I don't know. I don't even know where that came from.
Then.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, Sean, that's very possible. But James, when I think about James, I think sort of like, I don't know, a professor
Stacks
with
of
like
books.
tons of old dusty books, a bit like
Yeah,
the start of
yeah.
Indiana Jones, where it's like a massive
Definitely
library.
an oak desk.
Definitely an oak desk, and that oak with like the leather bits, on top.
Dr. Boomstick on a little
Massive,
triangle.
like
Toblerone
loads
film.
of books, and they're like dusty when he opens them, like Jumanji or something. I don't know, but also a bit like what I imagine like Indiana Jones is like, office to be like.
I wish it did look like that. I mean, the desk.
James.
My desk is pristine. Like I'd keep it as tidy as possible because
So you look at my desk there. You would say it's more tidy than my desk.
I'd say it's messier than I'd like it to be. If it was
Right? No, hold on. Well. See, wait. You're saying my desk is messier than you would like it to be.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine.
It's not. I mean, it's not awful. It's just I don't like all the paper and all that kind of thing. I mean, I try and avoid paper as much as possible anyway. It's just I hate paper.
Yeah, see, I can't. That's the
Same,
disadvantage that
yeah.
I'm at. I literally can't. Okay, so Matt, what's your one at work like? Oh, you've. I mean, you haven't even got a mouse mat on.
I was
going to
say, presumably you're 100%
no.
digital, Matt.
I
is
was trying to find a
awful.
picture. Basically, I have the monitor. I have like a laptop and laptop like stand.
Yeah.
The laptop is on the laptop, and then my keyboard and a wireless mouse. And basically, there's nothing else. There's no papers.
because it's not real. Because you're not doing real work.
Well, we don't need paper because it's not the
make anything,
60s
mate.
anymore.
The paper I've got. I mean, he was Matt was
you
right
don't
about
live
one
in the
thing.
real world,
Mate, there's a thing
Matt.
called the cloud. Have you heard about it?
Matt, you know nothing about the real world. You can't lecture the public on anything. So just do your marketing skills
pens.
and fuck off, okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to find a picture of my desk, but basically, yeah, there's nothing on it. I like absolutely pristine because I can't keep my house pristine anymore because I have a wife and child. But at work, I can keep that baby as clean as
control.
possible. And here upstairs is also tidy. It's not as tidy as I like it to be because I've got a small desk. But
I will say this, right? I will say this. Look at my photo again, right? You see, just
Do I
to
have
the
to? It
right
makes
of
me
the
feel
phone. You see, just to the right of the phone, you could see a little bottle with a blue top.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Purell, and I'm getting into that now. And I know that's a
So
dangerous
it's
game
what?
to go. Purell.
I don't
Is
know
it
what that is.
Purell?
I don't know what that is.
No, I might have got the. It's the anti-bac.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
I'm sure there's a brand called Purell.
Yeah, there
and
is.
it's the
I've
first
just
one
checked.
that I ever
Are you
had,
talking
so-
you're talking about the anti-bac, like,
Hand sanitizer, basically, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
hand
all that,
sanitizer. Yeah. I'm getting into that now because I go around using other people's keyboards and stuff to help them because I'm the IT nerd in
Yeah.
the fucking office,
Same,
right?
yeah.
And I just instantly now I am just like, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, it's all fixed now. Just squirting a little bottle into my hands, just rubbing
I've
it.
got the same thing on my desk at work because I mean I'm in university and it's filthy like outside. So it's just,
all those books, those
Yeah,
dusty
those
books.
dusty books.
Yeah, see,
it's just-
I keep some in the car because I visit farms and they're disgusting. Like, you feel fucking gross, man, after going to like any dairy farm. It's fucking
So
bad.
right, going to the back to the question then. So the answer is if we're only including work desks, it's probably me.
Yeah.
If we're including home desks, then
me.
It's
Jesus Christ, it's Sean. I've just got a nappy here and
I use a nappy and a dirty tissue.
It just, did you know what it is? It's because we used to have a
Laziness?
coffee table, right? Which things would live on for a bit, and then we'd like, we need to
you
turn
get like
that
that.
off. And then Isaac arrived and learned to move around, and we're like, do you know what? Let's get the coffee table out of the way so he's got more space to actually play in. So now my desk is the fucking dumping ground for the entire ground floor.
Yeah, sure. Do you remember, did you ever see my leather recliner that I got?
No.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculous. I spent over $1,000 on it. Right, this was when we got a massive bonus for relocating. Right, in my old job. Right, and I was given a budget for furnishings for my flat that I moved into. Right, and I'd bought everything and still had $1,000 left over. So I literally went to DFS and just went, "What's your most expensive leather recliner?" That one. How much is it? £700. How much is it with the best leather that you could do? $1,000. I'll take it. The salesman nearly cried in front of me, right? And so I've refused to get rid of it. I mean, it is in such bad nick, but I've refused to get rid of it. And when we got our new sofa in our front room, we were like, well, the baby's coming, so let's just move that recliner into the bedroom, and it would be a good sort of place to feed the baby, right? Because you got, I mean, I've not seen it for years. It's just, there's just boxes piled up on it, and fucking it's just ridiculous. Yeah, but it's so disappointing.
It must be nice though to think it's still there though. You know,
that's what I keep saying. But Joe has said to me about 1,000,000 times, we should get rid of that, and I'm like, no, it's not happening. I'm going to die in that chair.
So cool. Adam Capone says, I didn't listen to the Giant Bombcast Game of the Year episode, but was shocked to hear on your show last week that Luigi's Mansion was not in the top 10. I never played any game in the series before, and it was hearing about it on your podcast that made me give it a go. I fell in love with it instantly, and as soon as Guigi was introduced, my girlfriend Amber wanted to play. She's a very casual player, but soon picked up the controls, and we were working together as an effective team very quickly. We blasted through it within a week. Afterwards, I was thinking about why it worked so well. Typically, both players in co-op games have an equal responsibility. Both can lose lives and resources. Luigi's Mansion, however, seems to have been made with a less experienced partner, child, or relative in mind. This in itself isn't new. It's even been done in Mario games where the second player can control a pointer or Mario's cap, but with those particular examples, the support players are there just to collect resources for the other player, which isn't very empowering. As well as helping to collect resources, Guigi is fundamental to solving puzzles and can even help with combat. I believe a fundamental part of why inexperienced players sometimes don't like co-op games is because they worry about being responsible for losing lives and resources for the other player. I'm curious if you agree that this type of co-op feels new and refreshing, or perhaps it's something that is more common than I imagine it to be. If so, what other games have similar co-op setups? I want more games like this. I can't think of many.
No, because the problem is that in the new Super Mario games, which is what I've played with Harry in co-op quite a few times, it's, you know, he loses a life, which means we both lose a life, which means when he eventually dies, he doesn't come back as a bubble anymore, and it's kind of like, okay, so he's got to sit about for a little bit while I finish this level. So I like what they did with that. It was really interesting when you realise that actually Guigi has got way less health, but it doesn't lose any lives. You just pop him back out again straight away. It's I mean, it's fantastic. A lot of thought went into that, and it shows.
Do you remember that? Sure. Do you remember the thing with Borderlands 2? Oh, that was embarrassing. So they added a DLC character, and one of her skill trees was basically all sort of geared towards people who aren't very good at shooters, right? So it was all skills that, like, I can't remember if it just gave you like really generous auto aim or something. And I think, was it like an interview or something? One of the devs was like, oh yeah, we call this girlfriend mode. It's for fuck's sake, guys.
That was awful.
But it's a shame that they sort of ruined it by calling it that, because it's not a bad idea. Just be like, look, here's...
I'll tell you an example that might work. Snipper clips, because although it's a very tricky game and your co-op partner has to do some very tricky things, there's no punishment for getting it wrong.
Yeah, true. You can retry as many times as you want and just,
Yep, and also a lot of it is down to communication. So I played a lot of levels with Harry. Although it's a really difficult game to play, I was working out the puzzles and saying, right, you rotate this way, you rotate that way, now snip me, now stand there and I'll do this, you rotate there and I'll snip you. You know, so the communication was done and the puzzle work was done by me, but he still felt
involved,
like a big part of it.
Yeah.
Of course, it does go beyond the point of his sort of skills at the time. But I was thinking the other day we should go back to that and play through a few more levels because it's a fantastic game.
Really good
but
game.
Snipper Clips, I think, is a good example of that.
Yeah.
Where Harry never felt like he was letting me down by losing us lives or anything because, it's not what the game's about.
Yeah, totally. Any others? I think that's basically it, right? I think...
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Right. Pippin Schleppers says, hello, fellows, it's Pip again, or as my friends call me, the Schlepster. I haven't written since before Christmas because I've been busy. Mum accidentally added a 2 instead of changing the 1 to a 2 on the online order for the shopping, so we ended up with 12 tubs of Quality Street. Dad said we should send them back, but I convinced him to let me have them as part of my Christmas present. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I've been eating a lot of Quality Street and playing games. I thought
They're the worst ones as well, aren't they, Quality?
Yeah, they're not as good as the
not a
roses
fan.
or whatever.
Well, I don't know. Are they? Well,
Yeah.
I've all had them
What's
then
worse?
Celebrations and...
Piss off, Matt.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
with
I
you.
prefer Quality Street than the others, actually.
You
Jesus.
Definitely
prefer
better than-
Quality Street.
Jesus.
Definitely better than
Roses.
Roses.
Roses are worse, yeah.
Roses are
Yeah,
worse.
Roses are terrible, yeah.
Yeah. But Celebrations, they're probably the best.
Yeah, Celebrations
they're
or
fine.
Heroes,
They're-
mate.
Heroes are good.
Yeah.
But no, Celebrations up there, man. They got the Malteser ones.
Yes.
It's up there. I think Quality Street overall is my fave.
Jesus Christ.
Aye, that's madness.
He likes the toffee
It's
ones that
hardly
rip your teeth out.
madness.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's just madness.
I thought I'd send you a letter because at Christmas, Mum and Dad let me play Mortal Kombat 11 on the big telly as there was nothing else on that they wanted to watch. Mum really didn't like it, so she went to bed, but Dad was finishing his beer, so he sat with me. I did a fatality, and he did a little laugh out of his nose. You know, like the ones when you were talking about this week on the podcast. I asked him if he liked it, and he...
Were we?
Go on. Yeah, I don't remember that.
Were we?
It says, I asked him if he liked it, and he said, not really, but you don't see something like that every day. While I had his attention, I asked him what his fatality would be if he was invited into the Mortal Kombat Championships. To start with, he said something about Mum that I won't repeat, but it was a good job she'd gone to bed. I asked him again, and he said, I'd have the other bloke make you get a job and move out. Bloody dad,
Such
eh?
a dad
He's
thing.
always good for a joke. I knew he was joking because he knows I'm saving up for when I move to Canterbury and study China under the tutelage of Dr. Farley. I can't wait. Maybe we can do a China podcast together. You could be the main one for that if you like Dr. Farley. Anyway, I'll get to my question now. If you managed to beat your opponent into a bloody dazed pulp at the Mortal Kombat Championships, what would be your fatality? Sean, you can't play the pacifist card here. You've got to think of something horrible. Enough of my ramblings. I expect Dr. Farley is already grumpy because it's past his bedtime. Ha ha ha. I love the podcast to keep up the good work.
My one's easy, right? It'd just be, I'd get a bottle, smash it in half, and start doing Millwall chants, but as I stab their face off with a broken bottle. That's standard.
I guess mine has to be cooking related, right? That seems to be my gimmick.
Yeah, what was the one where you dropped on the floor? What was the meal that you dropped on the floor?
Oh, that was
mate?
the chicken. Oh fuck, what was it? Yeah,
The chicken fuck. What was
chicken
it?
fuck. What was it?
That's our favourite meal you've done, actually.
Yeah.
Chicken
Yeah,
fuck,
when
what
you-
was it?
When you drop that, like what?
Casserole,
you
chicken
go
casserole,
to the
sorry.
oven.
Yeah.
You go to the oven, picking up the chicken casserole, and then like falling over and it's spilling all over their face, and they melt away. But like licking their lips as they do it, and licking their fingers. Good job, Sean. As they're like melting.
Or maybe so if I do that and I accidentally spill it on them and they're basically melting to death, then I just react in the same way as I did on the show, which is just me going, oh no.
Yeah. Maz would be just him standing one side of the screen and shouting "content" until their skin drips away.
Yeah, or just like force someone to stream constantly until they just turn into a puddle
Lose the
of
will to
like
live.
mush.
Killing them via quoted retweets where you just put "wow" or something on top of it.
That's the best way to get your point across without no context.
James, what would James be? Just bore him to death? Was it?
Thanks, Matt.
Is that right?
Matt, Dave this time.
My name's Dave.
No, it'd prevent them from sleeping until they eventually just... I think you technically fall into a coma, right, if you stay awake too long. Mm-hmm. That'll work.
Telling him why he likes Typewriter. Which is now available on Switch, apparently. No, James, what would yours be?
I don't know. I can think of some horrible, like, revolutionary era kind of stuff, but I don't really want to talk about it. Cause
there you go.
He's darker than we thought.
No.
He's darker than we thought.
No, because it's horrible. A lot of stuff's really horrible.
That is
Okay.
the
All right,
point.
then.
Yeah, go on. Let's go dark.
See, the problem with fatalities is that they're just so ghastly.
So violent.
People end up dying.
Right, Matt Wells says, apologies for the lengthy email. I want to say thank you for the hard work you guys put into the podcast. I started listening after Midnight Resistance ended and subsequently worked through the entire back catalogue, loving every minute. I don't get a lot of game time these days, so listening to the pod has been a welcome substitute, though I'm a little behind as becoming a member of the Dad Club in November threw my normal routine out the window. I took your advice.
Congratulations, man.
Took your advice and bought a Switch before my little boy arrived, and I'm currently hooked on Breath of the Wild, which my mum bought me for Christmas. Zelda games have a big place in my heart, as my mum and I completed Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask together when I was little. I nearly lost it to cancer a few years back, and now I can't hear the iconic Zelda theme without getting emotional about the time we got to spend together. My question is, are there any games that hold a special place in your heart, either for the memories you have of them or for the time you've got to spend sharing your passion with your kids?
Yeah, definitely.
Firstly, that's one of the nicest emails that's one of the nicest stories we've read on an email. So that's really nice. Thanks for sending that in and sharing. I mean, it's hard to see because when I was growing up, it was all just football games, and that's how. I mean, I suppose Halo 1 was the one for me. Either Halo 1 or Time Splitters 2, where because there was a period of my life where that's all that mattered. You get out of work and you would either go around someone's house and play split screen, or at the weekend we would drag tellies up to each other's houses and do System Link. And it was just such a happy period where, most weekends were spent visiting one of our mates' houses, playing into the early hours of the morning. And it was just such a good time socially. I mean, I hated school, but obviously we weren't in school. We were, it was when we weren't in school, and just spent all our time playing these System Link games. It was fucking just wonderful.
I think the two contenders for me, so the original Phantasy Star Online, like that's one of my clearest memories of, like summer holidays, just not giving a fuck about anything. like time passing just wasn't really a thing. It was just, I'm up and I've had some cereal. I guess I'll sit and play Phantasy Star Online until I need the toilet, and then I'll go to the toilet and then I'll carry. Like, who gives a shit? It was beautiful. And also, so when I was at college, like every weekend we'd go to my mate Pete's house and play. I think there's a lot of Time Splitters, a lot of Smash Brothers. We'd always put the. The Pokemon level where it was all the floats, like the giant inflatable Pokemon. We'd basically just put that on like an endless match and then just play it till we fell asleep. And it's great. I mean, in terms of playing with the kids, obviously Isaac's only very little, but like as I've mentioned, he fucking loved Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is probably like the main reason I enjoyed that like as much as I did. Like he just went absolutely ballistic when I was playing it. It was so funny. I was well into Forza 4 as well, which is nice. But yeah.
It comes a little bit later with that stuff, I think. Because I think of the games that Harry was like banging to, like Burnout Paradise, like we both played a hell of a lot of, and the Forza games and stuff. But the ones that really stick out are the ones where it become like a talking point in our daily life, and that was Luigi's Mansion 3 is definitely one of those games where I would come home and he would go, I've been thinking about this bit in the what's it, and I've been waiting for you to get home so we can try it together. And it was like, okay, let's see if this idea works. And I soon realised that he was watching YouTube videos, and so he knew what he was doing. But there was that, and what was the other game that was like that? Where the fucking Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh yeah,
was another one where because he was,
of course, because he's got well into Star Wars, isn't he?
So deep into the Star Wars thing now, to the point where it's quite fun for me because I missed all that shit when I was a kid. And to come home and do a lightsaber battle with him, we've got 2 lightsabers, so to come home and have a little lightsaber battle with him in the front room, like before he goes to bed, is just like really fun. But because he was so into it, and then I was playing Fallen Order, it was just, he was just sitting there like mouth wide open, like really enjoying it, but also like letting him just do the lightsaber stuff, picking different parts of the lightsaber and putting it together, and he just fully got invested in it, and that was really cool. So yeah, there's quite a few actually. There is quite a few. The Odyssey stuff was great as well, just experiencing that game for him for the first time. So yeah, I mean, Nintendo stuff's incredible for that.
Yeah, totally.
That was definitely my experience, because if I think, like, more recently, I think the biggest memory I had was for Mario 3D World that I played through with Rachel, because it was when she was just she just figured out how to play games properly at that point.
Yeah.
And it was really nice, because it was just like, she could play it and I could play it, and we spent ages on that game. Like, we got through to the end together, and that was when she was about, I think she was about 5 or 6, and it was just, it was a really good experience, and she still talks about it from time to time now. This is why I'm really hoping it's going to get re-released on the Switch, because I wouldn't mind going through it again, because those were good times.
I want a new one. I've got thoughts about this. Okay, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, certainly nothing as special as other memories that Matt was mentioning. But I mean, there's plenty of games I look back on fondly, like Mash Fully Loaded, when we're just doing that one single wise track over and over and over for hours and hours and hours a day, or when we I imported Rock Band, so we had that 6 months or so before they came out in the UK. And we're that was, I think, when I first moved to Leeds, so it was having parties on my house every weekend and playing with a bunch of us. It was just amazing fun. So I look back on those sorts of games really, really fondly. But in terms of playing with Elodie, she played a bit more Goose Game on the weekend, and she was laughing her head off at that, and it was awesome to sit down and play that with her. But
cool.
Yeah, she's not massively into games. She'll rather do arts and crafts or some other stuff. But it's cool to see her play every now and then when she does.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd love to know what she thinks of Labo though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
be a nice halfway point.
Those are massively. They're really long, aren't they? To do. Oh yeah, maybe she'll like. I mean, she loves her arts and crafts, so maybe she'll love it.
Isn't the first kit? The first kit £20 now, or it wasn't a Christmas sale.
Yeah, I mean it was over Christmas. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah. All of the kits were £20, including that new vehicle one.
Were they? Oh fuck! I missed that.
Yeah, I said to Joe, are people still looking for stuff for Harry, because I'm pretty sure I really enjoyed it. So she was like, we are not filling our house with cardboard again. I was like, okay, all right, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But that's cool.
Any of us have memories of playing games with their parents? I definitely don't.
Oh,
no,
God, yeah. I've got loads.
Really?
My parents wouldn't ever go near any video games, so no.
My dad, innit? I mean, we as I said, I've told the story many times, that one of my earliest memories of video games is playing through Double Dragon with him. But yeah, I mean, they weren't always the happiest of memories. I did play through Halo, the first Halo with him in co-op split screen.
Cool.
Yeah, he quite liked that. But then the more complicated games got, and the older he got, the less interested he got in anything other than football games.
Right.
But we still play football games every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
We'll still have a match here and there, but. Yeah. It's not a nice experience because I thrash him and he gets the right hump. He gets the right. If you search, I'm pretty sure if you search Joypod on YouTube, you can find a video of me and Dad playing a football game. You can't see what's going on the screen, but I just edited together all the bits where he was kicking off about things. You fucked around with these controls and all that stuff. It was probably 12 years ago that video was taken, but. Yeah, well, I can tell you, I was 23, so it was 12 years ago. That's weird. But yeah, if you search Joypod on YouTube, you'll probably come across that video of me and my dad playing a football game together.
Yeah, but I although my dad was quite instrumental in getting my Commodore 64 and stuff, so from what felt like quite early age, he never played it with me. It's more just he wanted to get it, and because he thought I'd like it.
Yeah,
but I
same
never
with
played
us.
games with my parents.
It was like if it wasn't for Dad, we definitely never would have got the Commodore 64. Even if they'd got us one, if they'd got us one and left us to it, I don't think we'd ever figured out how to load a fucking game on it.
No.
So yeah, he was definitely involved with that stuff, but then just didn't seem to want to actually play much. I remember when we got our first actual PC when I must have been about 10. I remember my dad. He bought Myst and Little Big Adventure, and so I think he
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah, I think he liked the idea of seeing. He realised there were games that weren't fast paced and they were a bit more contemplative, I suppose. But I don't think he ever really got into him, and that was kind of it, really.
Yeah,
but it was a shame because I feel like saying to him now, like, Dad, there's like fucking millions of games like that now, and they're much better than they were back then. But I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, I played a bunch with my sister because we're always trying to find things to do. We played loads of like Midtown Madness, where we were basically being actual sort of poo around the city, like pretending or learning how to drive and learning how to park the car. And we played like loads of that and loads of like Sonic 2. I remember Sonic 2 multiplayer, like dying of laughter. Cause, we used to love playing that together.
Mate, I remember I used to play games with my brother all the time.
Yeah, same.
He doesn't play games anymore, but I used to play games with my brother all the time. Not a nice experience. I still flinch whenever I score a goal in a football game because whenever I did that in our bedroom, our shared bedroom, because I always shared a bedroom with my brother. Whenever I did that, he would turn around and punch me in the arm as hard as he could. If ever I scored against him, just used to punch me in the arm as hard as he could. And even now, when I score a goal in a football game, I sort of go, just expecting a dead arm.
Jesus.
It's just conditioned. Yeah. It was either that or he punched the TV as hard as he could. And that was when there was like 8-inch thick glass on the TV and you could get away with it.
See, because when I was, I mentioned like Fantasy Star Online and stuff. So obviously, my brother was 2 years older, so he started like working obviously while I was still like 13, 14 years old. So he got like a Dreamcast and he got a PS2 and stuff, and then he would go off to work, and I would sit around playing on all this stuff, and nice. Which obviously for him to then arrive home from work and I'm like, hi, I'm in the middle of something on your console, you're gonna have to wait. Didn't go down too well, understandably. But it's just funny how like it's like, oh yeah, that's like a whole bunch of stuff that I never would have played if he hadn't enabled it. So yeah, it's funny how these things like become quite important in hindsight, I guess. Right, Luke Boardman, this is the last email. It says, hey lads, just wondering if any of you have thought of picking up Watam on PS4. I'm a few hours in and I'm really enjoying my time with it, but I feel like I'm really missing out not having a kid to play it with. It's definitely geared towards young kids and feels more like a silly toy box than a full traditional game, much like Untitled Goose. I've let myself down by not.
Weird. I thought you would have played this.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't. To be honest, I mean, main reason is I don't really turn the PS4 on much these days.
Is it only on PS4?
So far, yeah. I think it's coming to PC. But yeah, I should probably get on that, shouldn't I?
Yeah, same thing really. I don't really play my PS4 that much, so
yeah. I mean, obviously it's
maybe he'd like it. I don't know if he would like it though. It's a hard one. Harry's a hard one to gauge. Yeah, like he might just think, "Oh, this is stupid."
It's for kids. Load of shit.
Yeah. He gets like that about things.
Yeah, I mean, because like Nobby Boy is wonderful, but it's barely a game, right? You kind of. So after the initial, people that came out and it was like, this is really fun, you might load it up occasionally and spend 5 minutes on it and be like, yeah.
Absolutely
not
right.
a lot to actually do, right? I know, so I have wondered if Watam is much the same. I've not.
Sounds like it's more of a game there.
Yeah, but I've not heard anyone talking about it really. Expected more noise, but.
Yeah, I've seen some people in the new year, but did it come out this year or last year? Did it get lost?
Technically,
in the
last year, I think. Yeah.
That's it come out in a really weird time where it was like not anyone's talking about games really during that period because
if it released in these first 2 weeks of January, everyone would be talking about it because nothing's come out.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
Should have just held it off really, but that
for sure.
That is it for the emails.
Fucking hell! Should we just do a few tweets because?
Yeah, it's at Computer Game Pod on Twitter if you want to tweet us. Stuart Baker at StuBaker05. My 6-year-old daughter has been very active on her 3DS recently. She's completed Mario 3D and is on with Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World and a Kirby game. I forget the name of it. Can you recommend other platformers that are similar that she might be able to play without too much difficulty?
James, this is your remit, mate.
It's a bit difficult actually because the ones that he's got there are the ones that I
the
definitely
best
would
ones,
go
yeah.
for. They are like the Kirby stuff in particular is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what Asher plays because he mostly just has gone through the Mario games and those and Kirby.
There is
What
it
else?
Kirby's Adventure? It's one of the original NES ones, but there's a really good 3DS version of it on the eShop.
Yeah.
Which is like that still holds up really well.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd definitely go for any of those because there's loads of those on the eShop. Actually, you're right that are like the earlier Kirby ones, and they're definitely the way to go because they're quite easy. They're not like very very difficult or anything.
Did they release the Rayman Legend games on them?
Oh, they did.
Did
Yeah, on 3DS. Yeah, there was a demo of one of them, and I remember being like, "This is sort of impressive, but I can't really see anything." Like though, obviously the amount of detail in that game,
is it
scaling
really-
that down
yeah.
to the 3DS screen was
Yeah, maybe look into those because that might not be a bad
yeah.
shout.
I mean, yeah. If you don't know what it's supposed
Although
to
they
look
do
like,
get
you
quite
wouldn't
tricky.
really bother you. But yeah,
So the other ones that are like big for 3DS is like there's like Donkey Kong Country stuff, but they're far too hard. They're like they're really difficult to play through.
yeah.
See, I'd definitely go for those.
Cool. Andy Godwin at Big Cop Man on Twitter. With the launch of the new consoles this year and hoping they don't have any, what has been your favourite design fault with any launch edition of a console? The 360 Red Ring of Death or the PS4 eject button too low on the console as examples. Not necessarily like a launch console for me, and maybe it's just like my own particular example, but the PS4, we're having like a sort of angled back, is annoying as someone who's constantly plugging and unplugging and moving consoles.
That's
Like,
pretty bad.
Make
Fucking
that make that just straight up and down on a new console, or angled
but
maybe inwards.
He's asking for our favourite, not the most annoying, and I would probably say the turning upside down the PS1. Is it the PS1 that did that?
Yeah.
We had to turn it upside down because the laser didn't work properly.
Oh yeah, I remember
It's
that.
just
Yeah.
so. I remember going around like experiencing that for the first time, where someone would say, "Oh, do you want to play this?" I think it was Smackdown or something, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll play that." And then they put the disc in and turned the thing upside down, and I remember going, "What? What are you doing?" "Oh, you got to turn it upside down because if you don't, it doesn't work. It won't read the disc." No, that's not how things work. it's working. Okay, that's bizarre. For starters, why? Secondly, who found this out? Thirdly, how did you hear about it? Like, it blew my mind. I think that might have been Blake, I think it was him the first time that I saw it, and he put Smackdown in his PS1 and turned it upside down but I was just like confused about the whole thing. Weird flaw that
the
was.
Xbox One, which had like that touch sensitive button, where I was constantly
That
accidentally
sucks.
turning that thing
Again,
on.
no, you're picking annoying ones rather than fun
yeah,
ones.
not
I
fault.
prefer it as annoying.
It's working
not
as
favourite.
design, mate. I'm trying to think. Design fault with it. I mean, is it not really? Again, it's not a design fault. I was just going to say like the fact that the first GBA didn't have a backlit screen, so you couldn't fucking see anything. But again, that's not it's not a fault. That's just how it was made.
I think now you've got like Joy-Cons, which break constantly. That's, I mean,
Pretty fucked, aren't they?
Yeah.
Have I misunderstood the question?
No, I think we've all taken it a different way. Yeah.
What was the? Just read the question.
With the launch of the new consoles this year and hoping they don't have any, what has been your favourite design fault with a launch edition of a
Okay.
console?
All right. Okay. All right. I'm quite confident. Right.
I'm just telling you things that I want the new ones to do. Yeah, I want a straight back on next PlayStation because that's annoying as hell. Let's move on to the next question, shall we? Continuing, this is six grid _ games. Continuing last week's discussion of controllers and with the Elite controller in mind, do you think modern games would suffer if they did not use every button on a gamepad? Why, for example, is it still necessary to destroy sticks by constantly clicking L3 to run?
Does that destroy sticks?
I mean, if you constantly I can see why.
I've never had it.
And
I've
it's
never
more
had
like
it
the
wear
rubber,
out on me,
surely.
though.
No, the only thing that I've noticed that definitely destroys sticks is anything in like an action game where it's like waggle it left and right as hard as you can. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake! Then not like all of a sudden drift comes in.
I mean, the question sort of suggests that games are being designed to make sure they use every button arbitrarily. I don't feel like that's the
don't
case.
know.
They are, because
the
if
case.
that was the case, then everything would use the PS4's touchpad, wouldn't it? And nothing does.
Nothing does, yeah. But then I can't think of many games that it feels like games are either like one button or all of them. I can't think of like a game that uses
combinations.
I can't think of a game that uses like the triggers and then 2 face buttons and not the others. Do you know what I mean? I suppose the short answer is that games are all complex enough that you can find things to do with the other buttons if you really want.
And I think isn't it a situation? I don't know with Sony. I'm pretty sure it is, but they're now all completely customizable.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, at a system level. Yeah,
because it is with the Xbox where you can, if you wanted run on the A button or whatever.
Yeah,
that would be mad. But if you wanted that, then
you can.
I think you can have that.
I think because actually, now that I think about it,
that's a really bad response to your question.
There's
then.
definitely games that just like repeat. So say like B is jump and A is shoot, then X will also be jump and Y will also be shoot or whatever. They just repeat the.
That's
the
a Nintendo thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's a staple Nintendo thing.
Yeah.
That.
Another thing that's linked to this, I've seen like some reviews of that PlayStation, that £30 adapter you put on the back
with the
your
paddles.
pad. And actually, they've all been like really positive. Actually, they said this is actually really good for the money, and it sort of gets near to what the Elite controller allows you to do for like £30. Obviously, it's not like the full package and the quality of an Elite controller, but I've been surprised about how positive people have been about that thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's the other tweets where we're going to end it there. It's at Computer Game Pod, as I said, on Twitter if you want to tweet us anything during the week.
Cool. And anything else? Any other socials, Matt?
Yeah, so streaming. James, you're back to stream L.A. Noire on Friday, is that correct?
Yeah, I guess.
He came out last Friday. So James is back Friday. I'm back for more Sekiro. Sunday night's definitely 8:30. But I want to play it so much that I'll probably squeeze some others in the week. But just follow us on Twitter and you'll see when we're streaming next. If you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime. And with that, you have one free subscription every month. And it makes a huge difference. And we really appreciate it if you go over to our channel and give us your free monthly sub. If you do it when we're streaming, you get a little shout out as well. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/TCGS. As Dave said at the start, right now, $10 patrons get to watch the next Talks Over, which is the Xbox 360 announcement, and $5 and above patrons get the bonus show, which, believe me, goes to places you don't want it to go to. And it's the website for everything else. It's thecomputergameshow.com. There's a store on there, links to our socials. You name it, it's on there.
And to respond to your text message there, James, I'm not doing the horn anymore because it ran its course. But thanks for your suggestion.
What a horrible little man.
We'll catch you next week. I hope you have a good one. Thanks for living it. Goodbye, everybody.
Night.
Goodbye.
Matt's